Chapter 870. The black barbarian monks used the barbarian god Jade pendant to protect themselves as they roamed the wilderness and plundered the cities. The black barbarian monks were all proficient in barbarian arts and knew how to use it to kill people. When they worked together, they could even fight against some weak beasts. The 12 black barbarian monks in front of them were all vicious and murderous. They were all demons who had killed countless people. Under the intimidation of the vicious aura, the faces of countless guests in the Zhao mansion turned pale with fear. Everyone knew that these 12 black barbarian monks had come for Zhao Dai, but not a single person dared to speak up for Zhao Dai. There were even some people who were as timid as mice who tried their best to be on good terms with the Zhao mansion. At this moment, they could not wait for the Zhao mansion to hand over Zhao Dai, or to appease the black barbarian monks. It's the black barbarian monks. Looking at the dozens of servants' corpses on the snow, Zhao Boyong was like an angry King Kong, looking at the 12 black barbarian monks without fear. Others might be afraid of the black barbarian monks, but he was not. He had been a Confucian for a long time and was now 46 years old. He had already seen through life and death. He was not a coward who would hand over his daughter to the black barbarian monks. However, he also understood that the black barbarian monks were extremely powerful. They could easily fight against 10,000 ordinary people. Even if all the ordinary people in Bianliang City were added together, they might not be a match for the 12 black barbarian monks. You black barbarian monks, why are you targeting my daughter? Give me a reason, Zhao Boyong said in a deep voice. After many years of cultivation, he had some righteousness in his heart. His voice was dignified, causing the expressions of the 12 black barbarian monks to change slightly. The old monk who was the leader was the first to put away his surprise. When he realized that Zhao Boyong was just an old Confucian and not a barbarian monk, he laughed coldly and counted. He naturally did not bother to answer any of Zhao Boyong's questions and started counting. After 10 breaths, if the Zhao mansion did not hand over Zhao Dai, he would definitely lead his men to massacre the Zhao mansion and even Bianliang City. I will not hand over my daughter. 2. Zhao Boyong wanted to say something, but before he could say anything he was directly suppressed by the old barbarian monk. He looked at the black monk unwillingly. So what if he knew how to be polite? In front of the barbarian monk, he still had no power to resist. Father. Just as Zhao was about to help her father up, Master Manchi helped Zhao Boyong up first. He took out a barbaric pill and fed it to Zhao Boyong. When the old monk counted to 3, Manchi passed through the crowd and walked towards the 12 black monks. His eyes were solemn. I am Manchi, a barbarian monk of Bianliang. As long as I am alive, I will not allow anyone to touch the barbarians of this city. A few of the black monks revealed looks of disdain at the same time, and some of them snorted in disdain. Berserker Chi's attainment in the Berserker art was very low. Any one of the 12 black monks could easily kill Berserker Chi. The black barbarian old monk in the lead grinned with a cold killing intent and stopped counting. Manchi's resistance had aroused his killing intent. If so, then there was no need to show mercy. He could directly slaughter the Zhao mansion and capture Zhao. My Buddhist commandment blade only kills barbarian monks. Since you are seeking death, I will fulfill your wish. The black barbarian old monk's figure disappeared from the horse and appeared behind Manchi. He turned his hand and stabbed the blade at Manchi's back. His movement technique was too fast, beyond the eyesight of mortals. Even Manchi could not see the old monk's movements clearly. His back was already emitting a cold blade chi. So fast. Manchi was shocked. He knew that he was going to die and he was already in despair. However, no one expected that a silver-haired figure who was countless times faster than the black barbarian old monk actually stood in front of the Buddhist commandment blade. With a wave of her hand, the old monk's Buddhist commandment blade broke into 10 pieces with a cracking sound. Then, with another wave of her hand, the black barbarian old monk who was arrogant just now was thrown into the snow like a sandbag by the little lowly. He fell heavily on the ground and breathed his last. The expressions of the remaining 11 black barbarian monks changed. They looked at the silver-haired little loli who was smiling sweetly on the snow as if she was a monster. Zhao Boyong, Man Chi and countless guests and servants of the Zhao mansion were all dumbfounded. Even Zhao Dai was in disbelief. Isn't that silver-haired little loli Ning Fan's nominal daughter, Ning Xianxian? This little girl is really powerful. She actually killed a black barbarian monk with a single move. Father didn't allow me to beat up the people of Bianliang or the wild beasts. However, he didn't say that I can't beat up these foreign bad monks. Why am I so powerful? I killed a bad monk in just a short while. Xian Loli's mouth was slightly open in disbelief. Just 2 years ago, as her lightning body continued to evolve, she lost more and more of her memories. Gradually, she no longer remembered who little Qianqian was. Gradually, she no longer remembered the relationship between her and Ning Fan. She really regarded Ning Fan as her father, herself as Ning Xianxian and Lu Yan as her mother. She also gradually forgot how powerful she used to be. It had been many years since she last beat someone. She was a little shocked when she killed a bad monk in just a short while. If father knows that I killed someone, I wonder if he will spank my butt? Xian Loli shivered. Even though Ning Fan had never hit her before, she had seen her neighbor's child getting beaten up. A spanking on the butt was really painful. Who are you? How dare you stop me, black barbarian, from doing something? Are you tired of living? Let's go together and kill this demoness. A black monk mustered up his courage and shouted. He was the first to get down from his horse. Then, the rest of the black monks also got down from their horses and rushed towards Xian Loli with their blades. I will be gentler this time. Xian Loli carefully waved her fist. Immediately, an invisible lightning force blasted out, sending the fastest black barbarian monk flying. That black barbarian monk crashed into the wall and collapsed a long section of the wall. He kicked his legs and breathed his last, I killed another bad monk. It's over. Father will definitely punish me heavily. Xian Loli's face was filled with tears. The remaining 10 black monks were so scared that their faces turned pale. All of them stopped in their tracks, turned around and ran away on their horses. They were really frightened by Xian Loli. Judging from her strength, killing them was simply child's play. This place was not suitable for them to stay for long. They must retreat. Xian Loli did not chase after them. Her small face was in a dilemma. She was afraid that she would accidentally kill someone again. Unknowingly, Lu Yan appeared beside Xian Loli. She stroked Xian Loli's head with a complicated expression and comforted her. Xian, don't be afraid. Your father will never punish you. Mother, is what you said true? I'm not your mother. Lu Yan helplessly rubbed her forehead. She would never have thought that Xian Loli would have a memory disorder and recognize her as her mother one day. When she thought about how she had been pretending to be Ning Fan's wife for the past 15 years, she blushed. Her beautiful eyes looked at the 10 black monks who were running away and smiled mockingly. Lu Yan did not think that these black monks could escape because she could clearly feel that Ning Fan had returned. Just as the 10 black monks were galloping on the snowy path, a white-robed man's figure suddenly appeared in the night. He appeared in the snowy night just like that, blocking the path of the 10 black monks. His face was calm but his eyes flashed with cold light. He was Ning Fan who had returned. After all, he had watched Zhao Dai grow up. He saw her as his junior. These black barbarian monks must pay the price for daring to lay their eyes on Zhao Dai and kill people in the Zhao mansion. Ning Fan was obviously transforming into a mortal and it was not suitable for him to use his cultivation base. However, he insisted on sparing the lives of these black monks. No one could clearly see how he did it. The heads of the 10 black monks flew high up into the sky. Blood spurted out from their necks like fountains. The horses were frightened and scattered in all directions. The corpses of the 10 monks fell to the ground and their black blood stained the white snow. Black blood. Ning Fan frowned slightly. He casually grabbed a soul that mortals could not see and searched it. After that, he did not say anything else. He walked past the corpses of the monks and entered the Zhao mansion. At this moment, everyone in the Zhao mansion was dumbfounded. Barbarian monks were divine monks who could fight against savage beasts. No matter how high the internal strength and martial arts of the mortal world were, they should not be a match for barbarian monks. However, the scene of Xian Loli and Ning Fan killing barbarian monks like ants was just too shocking. Zhao Boyong was so shocked that he was speechless. He had never thought that Ning Fan, whom he had known for 15 years, was actually such a powerful person. Zhao Dai was also shocked speechless. She never knew that Ning Fan, who only knew how to drink, appreciate plums and paint, was actually so powerful. Man Chi stared at Ning Fan in disbelief. Ning Fan's appearance had changed a lot during these 15 years. However, he could still recognize him at first glance. The person in front of him had once been to the barbarian temple in Bianliang. That year, he was carving a barbarian statue. However, just a glance from this person made him unable to move. Ning Fan smiled and walked towards Zhao. He took out a bone pendant that was refined from the bones of a savage beast and handed it to her. "This is the gift that uncle found for you. Take it. Soon, you will leave Bianliang and head to the heavenly barbarian city. This bone pendant can ensure your safety during your journey." Ning Fan's gaze then shifted to Zhao Boyong and his wife. He felt a little emotional. "Brother Boyong, I heard that you will bring your family to the heavenly barbarian city in a few days. These 2 bone pendants are a token of my appreciation. Please accept them. I have been in Bianliang for 15 years. Today, I have used my cultivation base to kill people. I'm afraid I can't continue my mortal transformation anymore. It's time for me to leave Bianliang and see the scenery of the other barbarian cities." Ning Fan cupped his fists towards Zhao Boyong and sighed. Then, he brought Lu Yen and immortal Loli out of the Zhao mansion. "Brother Ning, where are you going?" Zhao Boyong was shocked. He never expected that Ning Fan would leave Bianliang after killing all the black monks. Zhao De's face turned pale. She had actually forgotten the reserved manner of a girl. She ran towards Ning Fan. "Uncle, why do you want to leave Bianliang? Where are you going? Don't you want Dai anymore?" "Uncle wants to leave Bianliang to sort out the insights that I have gained in the past 15 years. Aren't you going to leave Bianliang soon?" "We will all leave. Since Uncle wants to leave Bianliang, can you go to Heavenly Man City with me?" Zhao looked at Ning Fan with hope. "Heavenly Man City. Uncle will go and have a look. But not now. Dai has to work hard to become a powerful barbarian monk." Ning Fan smiled and stroked Zhao De's satin black hair. His eyes were gentle. In his eyes, Zhao would always be the little girl in the past. He casually plucked a red plum flower and inserted it into Zhao De's temple. Then, he left after leaving a few words in her ear. In a few days, the Zhao mansion would leave Bianliang and move to Heavenly Man City. Ning Fan also planned to leave. Every grass and tree in Bianliang had been deeply imprinted in his heart. He still wanted to see more barbarian cities. The 3 jade pendants that he left for Zhao's family were made from the remains of a thought-shredding barbaric beast that had died many years ago. The 3 barbaric bone jade pendants had great abilities. It would be easy for them to ensure the safety of their family. Zhao Dai stood blankly in the wind and snow. She carefully held the barbaric bone jade pendant in her palm. She felt a little sour in her nose. She was a little reluctant but also a little hopeful and expectant. The words that Ning Fan left for her before he left were still echoing in her ears. "When Dai becomes a powerful barbarian monk, Uncle will certainly go to Heavenly Man City to see you. I will." Zhao placed the barbaric bone jade pendant on her chest. Her beautiful eyes gradually became firm. Becoming a barbarian monk was her dream. She would certainly work hard for this dream. She would not let Ning Fan down. The snow did not stop along the way. Ning Fan walked in the snow with his hands behind his back. Lu Yen and Xian Loli followed behind him. They walked out of Bianliang City and walked along the official road. The boundless wind and snow were like a dense fog, making it impossible for people to see through the night sky. Ning Fan's eyes became blank for a moment. It was as if he was not looking at the wind and snow but the dense fog above the true illusion river, fog. Everywhere is covered with fog. The existence of the desolate land itself is like a fog. the existence of the 4 heavens and 9 worlds also seemed to be shrouded by a layer of fog. The great Tao of the heavens was also shrouded by a layer of fog. The closer they got to Dujin, the more Ning Fan felt that he could not see through what was true. The closer they got to the Tao, the more they could not see the form of the Tao. Is there true in this world? Ning Fan looked up at the snowy sky and asked the question in his heart. Lu Yen, who had a low cultivation base, could not understand his question. Xian Loli, who had lost her memory, naturally could not understand it as well. Ning Fan seemed to be asking his own heart. At the same time, it seemed like he was asking the great Tao of the heavens. The only answer he got was the sound of the wind and snow, which was getting more and more urgent. No one answered him. He did not expect anyone to answer him either. He just continued to walk into the boundless snow and disappeared. What Ning Fan did not know was that when he uttered those words, a demon spirit emerged from the true illusion river with a shocked expression on its face. That demon spirit was the river demon of the true illusion river. Ever since the heavenly Tao was formed, it had been residing in the true illusion river. Its cultivation base was not high. It was lifeless, but it had spiritual intelligence. It had lived for a long time. It had seen too many cultivators crossing the true illusion river. It had also seen too many cultivators falling from the true bridge into the true illusion river and failing to cross the true illusion river. Its existence was to obey the order of the immortal sovereign. It was to obstruct the cultivators of the illusory dream world when they were crossing the true illusion river. In his life, he had seen the true illusion river flow in reverse 47 times. Just now, the 48th time had occurred. Another person has appeared in the illusionary world. He almost saw through the illusions of the heaven and earth dream. This person shouldn't have crossed the true path yet, not a true immortal. Otherwise, the true illusion river wouldn't have just flowed in reverse just now, it would have definitely collapsed countless true bridges. Being able to vaguely see through the illusion of the illusory world before entering the true enlightenment realm. This kid is extraordinary. I wonder who he is. The astonished expression on the river demon's face gradually faded away. His body sank to the bottom of the river again. Out of nowhere, Ning Fan's figure appeared in his mind. That day, there was a junior, Dujin. He was able to see the 3,000 true bridges when he entered the inner part of the heavenly Tao for the first time. Could he be the one who reversed the flow of the illusory river? 10 days later, the barbarian temple of the heavenly barbarians sent 7 barbarian monks to pick up the Zhao family and move them to the heavenly barbarian city. Along the way, the caravan was attacked several times by savage beasts, but strangely, all of these attacks stopped midway. All of the savage beasts that attempted to attack the caravan were frightened by an invisible tribulation force before they could even get close to the caravan. That tribulation force came from the barbaric bone jade pendant of Zhao Boyang and his family. The jade pendant contained the tribulation sensibility that Ning Fan had planted in it. 10 days later, Ning Fan and his group had already arrived at the ruins of Xiufu City along the official road. 1 month later, Ning Fan and his group arrived at a desolate valley. They found the camp of a black barbarian monk and slaughtered all of them. These black barbarian monks were the ones who had sent people to capture Zhao Hu. Ning Fan, of course, would not cut the grass without removing the roots. Another half a month later, Ning Fan arrived at a barbarian city called Yuan City and stayed there for half a month. Then he headed to the next barbarian city. On the 21st year of his mortal transformation, Ning Fan refined the 3rd 7-colored arrow spirit. On the 28th year, Ning Fan refined the 4th 7-colored arrow spirit and entered the inner part of the heavenly Tao once again. This time, he saw 12,000 true bridges in the inner part of the heavenly Tao. Unfortunately, none of them could be used to cross the true enlightenment realm. He withdrew from the inner part of the heavenly Tao once again. He did not succeed in crossing the true enlightenment realm. Fortunately, as long as he did not step on the true bridge, it would not be considered as a failure in crossing the true enlightenment realm. It was not a big deal. On the 35th year, Ning Fan refined the 5th 7-colored arrow spirit. On the 42nd year, Ning Fan refined the 6th 7-colored arrow spirit. On the 49th year, Ning Fan refined the last 7-colored arrow spirit. The cultivation progress of the war yin-yang technique had already reached 100%. It was already at the initial stage. Ning Fan could unseal it at any time, just like the yin-yang rain. However, this was not the complete cultivation. Only when Ning Fan attained the late true enlightenment realm would he be able to completely devour the power of the yin-yang rain and war yin-yang. The spiritual wine brewed from the Tao-seeking fruit had already been finished by Ning Fan. His appearance had already turned into that of an old man in his 70s. In order to accompany Ning Fan in his mortal transformation, Lu Yen also turned into an old woman. Only Xian Loli remained in the appearance of a little girl. During the past 49 years, she had already consumed 90% of Ning Fan's lightning fragments. However, she was still far from achieving the complete evolution of her lightning body. Her memory became more and more chaotic. She even forgot who Lu Yen was, and her name was Xian Xian. The only thing she remembered was Ning Fan's father. Every morning when she woke up, Xian Loli would lose all of her memory. She asked Ning Fan blankly, "Father, who am I?" "You are Xian Xian." "Father, who is she?" "She is Lu Yen." "Father, I am hungry. Eat these lightning pills." Ning Fan condensed the lightning power of the lightning fragments. They were very sweet and Xian Loli loved to eat them. In the past, Ning Fan would not spend so much effort to condense a pill for an unfamiliar Loli. However, after spending so many years together, Ning Fan had developed deep feelings for Xian Loli. He did not have any children in his life. It was as if Xian Loli had really become his daughter. However, Ning Fan knew that once Xian Loli completed the evolution of her lightning body, she would regain her memory and become old monster Shikong again. The father-daughter relationship between him and Xian Loli would not last long. All of the 7-colored arrow spirits had been completely refined by him. Ning Fan walked out of the barbarian city and arrived at an uninhabited barbarian valley. He stayed there and waited for the next time he would enter the inner part of the heavenly Tao to attain the true enlightenment in one go. This time, Ning Fan was confident that he could see through all the mist and see all the true bridges. He must find the Tao enforcing true bridge among those true bridges and advance to the crossing truth realm. On the 50th year, Ning Fan finally heard the call of the true illusion river for the 3rd time and successfully entered the inner part of the heavenly Tao. This time, Ning Fan did not enter the heavenly Tao with his primordial spirit. Instead, he directly used his entire physical body to enter the heavenly Tao. Since the formation of the heavenly Tao, there were only 47 people who had achieved this. Ning Fan was the 48th person who had done it. When he came to the banks of the true illusion river again, he finally saw through all the true illusion mist. He saw 108,000 true bridges above the true illusion river. 108,000 true bridges and 108,000 great Taos. However, there was actually no obsession among them. Very few people knew that there was no Tao enforcement bridge on the true illusion river. The true river is unbridgeable. How could this be? Ning Fan's eyes flashed with surprise. He suddenly recalled Kei Shenxi's advice in the past. He advised him not to cross the true river. The true river is unbridgeable. Could this be the reason why Kei Shenxi advised him not to cross the true river? Ning Fan walked to the true illusion river and looked at the surging river water. His eyes were extremely solemn. If there is no bridge, there is no way to cross this river at all. Touching the river water will result in failure. I didn't expect that the Tao of a junior like you is actually Tao enforcing. It's actually the Tao beyond the heavens. How dare you try to cross the true river with just Tao enforcing? You're really making me laugh to death. A disdainful laughter suddenly resounded from the profound Yin world. Ning Fan bent his palm and took out a bow of sealing from the profound Yin world. His eyes flashed with cold light. The thing that was laughing at him was this bow of sealing, the bow spirit of the ancestral bow that he had seized from Du Longzi in the past. This bow spirit was sealed by him and it could not make any sound. However, it could communicate with Ning Fan through the connection between their minds. I'm as lonely as snow. I'm really as lonely as snow. I've actually been captured by a junior who can't cross the true river. Junior, with your cultivation base that can't cross the true river, you can't afford to offend the true dragon clan at all. I advise you to quickly release me and find me 7,000 to 8,000 beautiful women to serve me. Then, I can put in a good word for you in front of the dragon ancestor and ask the true dragon clan to spare your life. The bow spirit of the ancestral bow sounded like an old man. It had once followed the ancestral dragon to conquer the world and killed countless ancient old monsters. Thus, it was naturally arrogant. Even though it was captured by Ning Fan, it still spoke with boundless arrogance. Unfortunately, Ning Fan was not someone whom it could afford to offend. This bow spirit doesn't seem to have the awareness of becoming a captive, noisy. How could Ning Fan be courteous to the bow spirit? He directly pointed his finger at it. The power of the black and red barbaric flash immediately went into the ancestral bow. Sizzling sounds could be heard as it destroyed the bow wantonly. Immediately, the bow spirit of the ancestral bow let out a miserable shriek like a pig being slaughtered and cried for mercy. "Spare my life, hero. I won't dare to speak nonsense anymore. Quickly stop using the barbaric flash. If you use it again, my bow spirit's body will be severely injured. I'll call you Grandpa. I'll call you Grandpa, all right? Stop now. I've seen the ancestral dragon build the true bridge before. I'll tell you the method to build a bridge and help you build a true Tao enforcing bridge to cross the true bridge. Please let me go." When he heard the last sentence of the ancestral bow, Ning Fan stopped using the barbaric flash. His eyes flashed and he looked at the ancestral bow in his hand. "Build a bridge? That's right. If the true illusory river doesn't have a bridge, then I'll build a true bridge to cross the true bridge. So what? This true illusory river has to be crossed eventually. Tell me, how can I build a true Tao enforcing bridge? If your answer doesn't satisfy me, you know the consequences." When Ning Fan's cold words fell into the ancestral bow's ears, it immediately caused its mind to tremble and it could not help but shiver. "It's as lonely as snow. I'm the dignified spirit of the ancestral bow. How could I fall into the hands of this evil star who doesn't know the immensity of heaven and earth? Build a bridge. Is a true bridge that easy to build?" It said that it had seen the ancestral dragon build the true bridge before. But it was just nonsense that was 30% true and 70% false. When the ancestral dragon crossed the true bridge, it was also filled with difficulties. He wanted to take a shortcut and build a true bridge. However, he failed and could only settle for the next best thing. After cultivating for many years, he finally found his own true bridge and successfully crossed the true bridge. A true bridge could only be built by an immortal sovereign who created the world and created the heavenly Tao. Ning Fan was not an immortal sovereign. It was impossible for him to build a bridge on the true illusory river. Little Bao was just talking nonsense just now. In this world, there is no such thing as a true bridge. The Bao spirit of the ancestral Bao answered carefully. "You're not going to tell me the truth?" Ning Fan's eyes turned cold. Once again, he released the barbaric flash. Immediately, the ancestral Bao let out a miserable howl like a pig again. "Little Bao is telling the truth this time. What I said just now was just nonsense. There really is no such thing as a true bridge in this world. Spare me! Spare me, hero! Quickly stop using the barbaric flash. Hero, you can search my Bao soul to see if I'm lying or not. Hero, you have demon spiritual power in your body. I can teach you the highest secret technique of the true dragon clan, reverse spirit technique. In the entire true dragon clan, there are only a few old ancestors who are qualified to practice this technique. With this technique, you can search my Bao soul and know that I'm not lying." After hearing what the ancestral Bao said, Ning Fan's eyes changed slightly. He stopped using the barbaric flash and murmured, "Reverse spirit technique, the highest secret technique of the true dragon clan." Chapter 871. Reverse spirit technique was an ability that could reverse spiritual force and strengthen one's senses. It was one of the highest secret techniques of the true dragon clan. In the entire clan, there were only a few people who were qualified to cultivate this technique, and Old Ancestor Poisonous Dragon was one of them. Ning Fan had heard of this technique before. Other than strengthening one's senses, the other ability of this technique was to aid in searching one's soul. If one were to learn this technique, they could read the other party's memories without destroying their spiritual intelligence. Moreover, ordinary soul-searching techniques could not read the memories of a weapon spirit, but the reverse spirit technique could do it easily. When he heard that Candle Bao wanted to teach him this technique, he immediately gave the ancestral Bao spirit a deep look. If he could learn this technique, he could use it to strengthen the senses of his spirit sense, and the range of his rain technique would also increase. Ning Fan was very interested in this technique. However, the timing of the ancestral Bao spirit's suggestion of imparting the reverse spirit art was a little abrupt. It seemed like it wanted Ning Fan to search his soul without destroying his spiritual intelligence, but it gave Ning Fan a feeling that it was lying. "Are you sure that you want to teach me this technique?" Ning Fan asked thoughtfully. His eyes flickered with green light as if he could see through all the thoughts of the ancestral Bao spirit. The ancestral Bao spirit felt guilty and smiled apologetically. "Yes, of course I'm sure. If a man learns the reverse spirit technique, he will naturally be able to search my soul and know if I'm lying or not." As soon as it finished speaking, the ancestral Bao spirit imparted the cultivation method of the reverse spirit technique to Ning Fan through the connection between their minds. At the same time, it was nervously thinking about other things. What it was thinking about was an escape plan. That day, when this malefic star targeted me, he planted a total of 10 layers of seals in my body. Those seals were connected to the Great Force. I couldn't break them at all with my current abilities. However, my spirit body is extremely special. If this person uses the reverse spirit technique to search my soul, I can absorb some of the reverse spiritual force to weaken the seals in my body. As long as these 10 layers of seals are weakened, I have a high chance of breaking the seals and escaping from the malefic star's control. AI, if it wasn't to escape from the evil hands of this malefic star, why would I impart the reverse spirit technique to this person? All of this is just a step in my escape plan. This old man is the Candle Bao spirit Bao. In order to escape, I actually used a scheme against a member of the younger generation. This old man's life is really as lonely as snow. While the Bao spirit was thinking about its escape plan, it did not know that its motive of imparting the reverse spirit technique had aroused Ning Fan's vigilance. However, since he had obtained a secret technique of the true dragon tribe for free, there was naturally no reason for him to abandon it. He did not expose the Bao spirit's intention. Instead, he sorted out the information that he had obtained about the reverse spirit technique. No matter what, he circulated his spirit power and began to cultivate the reverse spirit technique at the True Illusion River. The reverse spirit art was not difficult to cultivate and was divided into 7 realms. The first stage is the easiest to cultivate. As long as you have a spiritual wheel and have cultivated demon spiritual energy, you will be able to cultivate it. But from the second stage onwards, the requirement for demon spiritual energy cultivation becomes higher and higher. With Ning Fan's demon spiritual power, which was comparable to the early human profound realm, he could only cultivate the second level of the reverse spirit technique. The first stage of the reverse spirit art could increase one's spiritual force perception by 2 times. The second stage of the reverse spirit art could increase one's spiritual force perception by 4 times. In just half a day, Ning Fan had successfully cultivated the second stage of the reverse spirit art. After cultivating the second stage of the reverse spirit art, Ning Fan clearly felt that even though the realm of his spirit sense did not improve, his spiritual force perception was several times stronger than before. If my demon spiritual energy reaches the crossing truth realm, I will be able to cultivate the third stage of the reverse spirit art. Then, my spiritual force perception will increase exponentially again. The demon spiritual energy needs to be tempered by the spiritual wheel to cultivate the illusory power. The illusory power in this place is not weak. Unfortunately, I can't stay here for too long. Otherwise, if I enter seclusion here for tens of years, my demon spiritual energy will most likely break through to the crossing truth realm. Ning Fan looked at the east-flowing river and muttered to himself. The Bao spirit in his hand reminded him in a seemingly unintentional manner. Hero? Didn't you search little Bao's soul? Don't you want to see if little Bao is lying? Are you looking forward to me searching your soul? Don't ordinary people dislike having their souls searched? Yet you are looking forward to it? Ning Fan asked expressionlessly. The Bao spirit stopped talking and felt a little guilty. Fine. Since you've spent so much effort to teach me the reverse spirit art, I will fulfill your wish and search your soul. Ning Fan circulated his demon spiritual energy and pointed at the ancestor Bao with one of his fingers. The ancestor Bao shook its body and immediately turned into the illusory figure of a hunchbacked old man. His body was covered with black and red seals. Then he grabbed the top of the hunchbacked old man's head with one of his hands and performed the reverse spirit soul searching technique. Even though his soul was being searched, the hunchbacked old man felt incomparably comfortable. All the 130 million pores on his body opened up, enjoying the process of the soul searching. His face revealed a wretched and delighted smile. Awesome! The feeling of having my soul searched by the reverse spirit art is really awesome. The seals in my body have already weakened a little. While this fiend is searching my memories, I will quickly break the seals. Since the 10 layers of seals in his body had already been broken, the Bao spirit naturally would not be polite and quietly broke the seals in his body. Unfortunately, these little tricks did not escape Ning Fan's eyes. Ning Fan did not point it out and let the Bao spirit break the seals while he carefully read the Bao spirit's memories. This Bao spirit used to be the Bao spirit of a demon Bao called Candle Bao. Before the 4 heavens was established, it was once the magic treasure of the ancestral dragon Zhu Li, who cultivated in accordance with his nature and fate. The ancestral dragon Zhu Li founded the true dragon clan and was the common ancestor of all the future dragon ancestors. However, before the 4 heavens was formed, he had already died in a battle in a mysterious place called the Heavenly Desolate Ancient Realm. The Candle Bao was also destroyed in the battle in the Heavenly Desolate Ancient Realm along with the ancestral dragon Zhu Li. Only a trace of the Bao spirit was lucky enough to survive until today. What Ning Fan seized was the remnant of the Candle Bao that was not dead yet. Because the Bao spirit was damaged, its memories were not complete. Ning Fan could not read too many ancient secrets from its memories. Moreover, a part of the Bao spirit's memories was deliberately sealed. It was a seal that the Bao spirit set up on its own. It sealed the memories that it did not want Ning Fan to read. That memory contained its escape plan and other things. Ning Fan tried to break the Candle Bao's memory seal but failed. His reverse spirit art cultivation base was still too low. Even though he failed to break the seal, Ning Fan still saw some fragments of memories from the Candle Bao's sealed memories. Among those fragments of memories, there was the memory of the Bao spirit trying to break the seal and escape. There were also some other memories. One of the fragments of memories was the scene where the ancestor dragon Zhu Li told the Candle Bao spirit before he died. Remember, you have to escape back to the true dragon clan and hand the key to the next dragon lord. The key has already been sealed by me. No one below the Saint Realm can break the seal by force. You are my Bao spirit and you have the chance to break the seal. If the future dragon lord wants to break the seal but his cultivation base isn't strong enough, you have to sacrifice your remnant spirit to help the future dragon lord to break the seal. Remember. Ning Fan's expression changed slightly. He did not expect that he would read such a memory fragment from the Bao spirit's sealed memories. It's the key again. The Eastern demon ancestor hid a key in the heaven-suppressing bell, the ancient chaos great emperor hid a key in the yin-yang locket, and the ancestor dragon Zhu Li left a key for the future dragon lord. What exactly is the key? If he could tear the seal of the Bao spirit's memories, he would be able to know the truth about the key. However, with Ning Fan's reverse spirit technique cultivation base, it was impossible for him to tear the seal with his own strength. What if he threatened the Bao spirit to break the seal himself? Forget it. Let's not talk about the key for now. Let's take a look at the Bao spirit's memories, the scene where the ancestor dragon Zhu Li built a bridge to cross the true world. Ning Fan's mind shifted and began to read another part of the Bao spirit's memories. In this part of the memories, there was the scene of the ancestor dragon Zhu Li crossing the true world when he was young. The Tao that the ancestor dragon Zhu Li cultivated was the Tao of the beyond heaven. That Tao did not belong to the samsara Tao created by the immortal sovereign. There was no corresponding Tao among the 180,000 bridges. The ancestor dragon Zhu Li had once tried to build a true bridge on the True Illusion River but failed. Left with no other choice, the ancestor dragon Zhu Li cultivated another great Tao, and only then did he succeed in crossing the True Illusion River. In this world, other than the immortal sovereign who created the True Illusion River, no one else could build a true bridge on the True Illusion River. Not even the ancestor dragon could do it. The Bao spirit did not lie. It did not know the method of building a true bridge and had never heard of any cultivators other than the immortal sovereign realm who could build a true bridge. It only knew about ancestral dragon Zhu Li's plan to build a bridge, a failed plan. Except for the immortal emperor, no one has ever been able to build a true bridge on the True Illusion River. Am I no exception? Ning Fan's brows were tightly knitted together. He looked at the surging illusory river water in silence. No one could build another true bridge on the true river, so they could only cross the true bridge left behind by the celestial emperor. There was no bridge on the True Illusion River. How was Ning Fan, a cultivator with Tao persistence, going to cross the True Illusion River? Should he be like ancestor dragon Zhu Li, giving up his previous Tao and cultivating another great Tao? Ning Fan closed his eyes and let out a faint sigh. He could not let go of the Tao of obsession because this Tao was condensed from all the obsessions in his heart. This Tao was fused with the warmest memories in his heart, the most sincere feelings, and he was reluctant to let it go. If he gave up on the Tao and used other Taos to reach the true realm, he might be able to become a true realm cultivator, but he would no longer be Ning Fan. Since he couldn't give up on his Tao, did he have to give up on Duzhen? Should he stop at the Duzhen realm and become a ghost Xian cultivator? Stopping at the ghost Xian realm didn't seem to be a scary thing. If he gave up on the true realm using magical power, he could still cultivate the ancient devil essence Qi and ancient demon spiritual power. Perhaps his path of cultivation wouldn't be blocked because of this. However, if he couldn't reach the true realm, he wouldn't be able to cultivate the fourth transformation of his combat arts, which meant he wouldn't be able to complete the task entrusted to him by the Luo clan. Also, he wouldn't be able to reach the late true realm and cultivate the 27 yin-yang of the chaotic rings art. That was considered as giving up on the inheritance of the cultivation method given by ancient chaos. If he gave up on the true realm, he would be letting down the Luo clan and ancient chaos down. Great Emperor Ancient Chaos didn't hesitate to injure his illusory body to condense a heaven-grade fierce elemental crystal to help Ning Fan cultivate the yin-yang rain art and the chaotic rings art. Could Ning Fan really give up on the chaotic rings art? Giving up on the true realm seemed to be able to preserve his Tao persistence, but from another perspective, it would be letting down the persistence in his heart. Even so, Ning Fan would still feel guilty about his Tao heart. Even though his Tao persistence was preserved, cracks would also appear because of this. A mountain is a mountain because it doesn't move. A persistence is a persistence because it doesn't change. If he gave up on the Tao, his Tao would collapse. If he gave up on crossing the true river, his Tao heart would be damaged. If he forcefully crossed the true river, he would only end up in failure. If he was not careful, he might even lose his life. This was the dilemma that Kei Shensi was talking about. Ning Fan sighed softly. If his Tao was not stubbornness, there was no need for him to be obsessed with his heart. He could just abandon his Tao and cultivate other Taos instead without harming his Tao heart. Unfortunately, even though ancestral dragon Zhu Li could cultivate other great Taos as if no one else was around, he could not. Because he was Ning Fan. Because he was a Tao persistent cultivator, perhaps a Tao obsession cultivator would be the last cultivator in the world to reach the true realm. Ning Fan stared at the surging waves of the river. All of a sudden, he understood something. On the surface, Du Zhen and Du Zhen were crossing the True Illusion River, but they were also advising cultivators to let go of the obsession in their hearts and walk on the true bridge paved by the immortal emperor. Abandoning emptiness. Abandoning emptiness still had to be abandoned, still had to be empty. Only by abandoning the obsession in one's heart and clearing one's Tao heart could one achieve success in cultivation. Only by breaking the obsession could one cultivate the Tao sense. There were three realms in the true immortal realm: Duzhen, abandoning emptiness and breaking thoughts. To put it bluntly, one had to constantly abandon the obsession in order to cultivate the so-called true Tao. If one were to let go of the obsession in one's heart, would the true Tao power that one obtained be still true? What is true? Are the 108,000 true bridges on the true illusion river the real thing? Is the obsession in my heart not the real thing? Is there any truth in this world? Ning Fan asked again. This time, the water of the true illusion river flowed in reverse again. The river that flowed in reverse contained a kind of determination to trace back to its source and seek the reason for its existence. Ning Fan's heart seemed to be infected by the river that flowed in reverse. He wanted to learn from the river and cultivate his own truth. These 108,000 true bridges are the true bridge built by the immortal emperor. They are not my truth. My truth is only obsession. If I abandon obsession, even if I achieve delusion, I will certainly not be able to cultivate the true Tao. I must cross this true illusion river. I won't walk on the true illusion river that anyone has built for me. I want to build a true bridge with the obsession in my heart. Whether there is truth in this world or not has nothing to do with me. As long as I have the truth in my heart, that is enough. Ning Fan took a deep breath and his eyes were filled with determination. If others were to encounter such a dilemma, their Tao heart would certainly be shaken and tormented. If other cultivators failed to achieve delusion, they might give up on their Tao. But Ning Fan would not. Ning Fan's personality had always been stubborn. Even if he knew it was impossible, he still wanted to do it. Even if there were millions of people, he would still go forward. He would neither give up on delusion nor give up on his Tao. He wanted to build a bridge on the true illusion river. Other than the immortal emperor, no one had ever been able to build a true bridge on the true illusion river. If Ning Fan tries to build a bridge, he would most likely fail. However, he still wanted to give it a try. How could he be willing to give up so easily? In Candle Bao's memory, when the ancestral dragon Zhu Li created the true illusion bridge, he divided the entire bridge building plan into 3 steps. The first step is to sacrifice billions of remnant souls of the demon race to the true river. Using the remnant souls to gather the illusory mist, then using the mist to build the stone bridge. If the stone bridge is completed, the first step will be completed. However, this stone bridge is still not a true bridge. If I want to build a true bridge, I need to complete the second step, which is to strip the Tao illusion from the stone bridge and leave only the Tao truth behind. When all the illusions are destroyed, the stone bridge will become a true bridge. The third step is to step on the true bridge and cross the true river. The reason why the ancestral dragon Zhu Li failed to build the true bridge was because he failed in the second step. At that time, he successfully built a stone bridge. However, that stone bridge was not a true bridge and it could not cross the true bridge. He tried to complete the second step and turn the stone bridge into a true bridge. However, he could not completely strip the Tao illusion from the stone bridge. In the end, he had no choice but to give up. Even though the ancestral dragon Zhu Li failed in building the bridge, I can use his 3 steps as a reference. The first step is to build a stone bridge on the true illusion river. In order to build the stone bridge, I need billions of remnant souls to be sacrificed. Ning Fan's gaze shifted to the candle bow in his hand and smiled. When he finished searching his soul, the Bao spirit had already returned to its original form. From the candle bow's Bao spirit, he could sense the remnant soul power of 1 billion true dragon demons. They had already been crystallized by the Bao spirit. These remnant souls were originally the sacrificial offerings that the true dragon clan offered to the Bao spirit. Their purpose was to nourish the Bao spirit's spirit body. Now, however, they could be used to build the bridge. At this very moment, the Bao spirit was desperately trying to break the seal in its body, daydreaming about breaking the seal and escaping. While Ning Fan was searching its soul, the seal in the Bao spirit's body weakened and it broke 5 layers of the seal in a row. While Ning Fan was pondering, the Bao spirit broke the other 2 layers of the seal. There were only 3 remaining layers of the seal in its body. What a foolish junior. I bet you wouldn't have thought that the reason why I taught you the reverse spirit technique is just so that I can escape from this place. There are only 3 layers of the seal left. In just an hour, I will be able to break the seal completely and escape from this place. Once I break the seal, with the strength of my spiritual body, even if this malefic star knows the Eastern demon ancestors' heaven sealing technique, he won't be able to seal me again. Sigh. Looking at the time, I have already been sealed by this malefic star for 50 years. I really miss the ancestral soul pond. In the past, when I lived in the ancestral dragon pond, there would be true dragon clan cultivators who would capture human female cultivators and throw them into the pond for me to play with. It has been 50 years since I last touched a woman. This time, I must ask Du Longzi to send me some peerless beauties to enjoy after I escape back to the northern region. I'm afraid there won't be any treasure spirit in this world that can live a carefree and happy life like me. When I'm drunk, I lie on the knees of beauties, and when I'm sober, I wield human rights. My life is really as lonely as snow. There are only 3 layers of the seal left. Beauties, I'm coming back soon. The bow spirit was laughing in a carefree manner. All of a sudden, it became dumbfounded and nearly spurted out a mouthful of blood. When there were only 3 layers of the seal left, Ning Fan casually waved his hand and strengthened the seal. After being strengthened, there were a total of 108 layers of the seal. It was so strong that it was inhumane. In the past, there were only 10 layers of the seal. The bow spirit could not break them. It could only use the reverse spirit technique to weaken the seal, and only then would it have a slight chance of breaking the seal. Now, there were 108 layers of the seal. No matter how Ning Fan uses the reverse spirit technique on the bow spirit or how he weakens the seal, the bow spirit would not be able to seize the opportunity to break the seal. 108 layers of the seal. No! Malefic star. You despicable and shameless malefic star. You have gone too far. I'm about to break the seal, but you actually strengthened it. Shameless. Shameless. The cry of the bow spirit resounded in Ning Fan's mind for a long time. Ning Fan naturally did not have the mood to care about the bow spirit's grief and indignation. His eyes turned cold and he reached out with a backhand gesture. He directly activated his ability and extracted a blood-red remnant soul crystal from the bow spirit's body. That was the soul crystal condensed by the bow spirit with 1 billion dragon souls. It was used to nourish the spirit body. Now, this soul crystal belonged to Ning Fan. Seeing that Ning Fan not only strengthened the seal but also took away the soul crystal that was used to nourish the spirit body, the bow spirit became even more indignant. It directly cursed in Ning Fan's mind. If you continue to curse me, I will directly refine you into a treasure and destroy your bow spirit. I think you can refine a pretty good bow with that. Ning Fan's tone became solemn and his eyes flashed with a hint of killing intent. In the bow spirit's memory, there was a memory about the key. To Ning Fan it still had some uses. Thus, he decided to keep it for the time being. However, if this bow spirit really does not know what's good for it, Ning Fan would not be courteous to it. He would give up on the information about the key and directly kill it. Sensing Ning Fan's undisguised killing intent, the bow spirit shuddered for no reason. Even though it was indignant, it did not dare to curse anymore. Seal. Seeing that the bow spirit was sensible, Ning Fan did not waste any more time talking to it. He temporarily sealed it and threw it back to the profound Yin world. He decided to build a bridge to cross the true illusion realm first. After that, he would pry out the information about the key from the bow spirit's mouth. Holding the soul crystal in his hand, Ning Fan looked at the surging river in front of him with a determined look in his eyes. The water of the true illusion river had returned to normal and flowed eastward again. Ning Fan sat cross-legged at the riverside of the true illusion river. He waved his hand and took out the soul crystal in his hand. Then, he formed a hand seal with all 10 of his fingers and muttered some incantations. Rays of blood-red dragon souls flew out from the soul crystal and connected with each other above the true illusion river, forming an illusory blood-red soul bridge. As Ning Fan bent his palm and beckoned, the mist of the great Tao above the true illusion river immediately fused into the soul bridge. The illusory soul bridge gradually turned into a blood-red stone bridge. As time passed, the blood-red color gradually turned green. Half a day later, A bluestone stone bridge that vaguely let out a dragon roar was built above the True Illusion River. At the moment the bluestone stone bridge was formed, the river demon hiding at the bottom of the True Illusion River immediately wore a solemn expression. This young man actually wants to form a bridge above the True River. Moreover, he has already formed a stone bridge. Is he trying to break the true law of heaven and earth? No one had ever been able to form a bridge above the True River. It was not because of insufficient power but because the laws of heaven and earth did not allow it. The heavenly Tao was the heavenly Tao that was created by the immortal sovereign himself. No one could go against the will of the immortal sovereign and form a bridge above the True River. The river demon did not think that Ning Fan had the ability to go against the will of the immortal sovereign. Ever since I've been guarding the True Illusion River, I've seen a total of 47,941 cultivators trying to build a bridge above the True River. However, all of them failed without exception. No one could go against the will of the immortal sovereign. No one could build a bridge above the True Illusion River. This young man could enter the inner part of the heavenly Tao with his physical body and make the water of the True Illusion River flow in reverse twice. It's enough to show that he's extraordinary. In the illusionary world, there are only 47 people who could do this. Without a doubt, this young man is the 48th person. However, it's a pity that this man's Tao is stubbornness. There's no bridge above the True River. His attempt to build a bridge will also fail in the end. Unless this young man gives up his stubbornness, otherwise he will never be able to cross the True River in this lifetime. Crossing the True River, crossing the True River. The word crossing originally has the meaning of giving up one's stubbornness. Only by giving up the southern bank can one reach the northern bank. There's no gain without loss. That's the Tao. He Yao sighed softly and shook his head without saying another word. Even though Ning Fan had used 1 billion dragon souls to build the stone bridge, he did not think that Ning Fan had the ability to strip the Tao illusion from the stone bridge and build a real bridge. The stone bridge was not sturdy. If someone steps on it before it becomes a real bridge, the bridge would certainly collapse. Ning Fan's eyes sparkled with green light. He stared at the stone bridge in silence. He had already completed the first step of building the bridge. The second step was to strip the Tao illusion from the stone bridge. He had already opened the first gate of the heavenly being realm. With his eyesight that was as one with the world, it was not difficult for him to see through the Tao illusion in the bridge. However, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to remove the Tao illusion. Just as he waved his hand to remove the first trace of the Tao illusion, he was immediately suppressed by the entire heavenly Tao. The heavenly Tao did not allow cultivators who were not at the immortal sovereign realm to remove the Tao illusion and build a real bridge. It was as if there was a consciousness that came from the heavens pressing down on Ning Fan's body. In just an instant, Ning Fan coughed out blood and was forced to retreat. He had no choice but to give up on removing the Tao illusion. At the center of the True Illusion River, a purple-golden whirlpool suddenly appeared. Inside the whirlpool, an aurora flashed and a heavenly Tao purple lock flew out at lightning speed and bound Ning Fan's body. The speed of the purple lock was too fast. It was so fast that Ning Fan could not dodge it in time. As soon as he was bound by the purple lock, he immediately lost his mind and sank into the illusions. The power of the purple lock originated from the whirlpool in the river. In the world of Ning Fan's mind, illusions appeared one after another. Perhaps it was because he was passing through the truth in the desolate mountain. The scenes in those illusions were actually the ancient desolate mountain. With the power of the illusions, Ning Fan seemed to have returned to the ancient desolate region in the ancient times. In those illusions, Ning Fan was no longer a human. Instead, he was a barbaric bull that was chained to the foot of the Li mountain by the purple lock. He was not the only barbaric bull that was chained to this place. There were millions of barbaric bulls that were chained to this place. Each of the barbaric bulls was tied up by a heavy purple-golden chain. They were struggling at the foot of the Li mountain, unable to move even an inch. Our barbaric bull clan has offended the Calamity Envoy and was exiled to the foot of the Li mountain. An inch of purple lock is equivalent to an inch of the mountain. The weight of this purple lock is comparable to the entire Li mountain. Carrying this purple lock makes it hard for us to move even an inch. We will never be able to regain our freedom in this lifetime. Legend has it that when the water of the Yellow River is clear, 1 liter of clear water can dissolve the purple lock. If there is a barbaric bull that walks 10,000 li and reaches the Yellow River, there is a chance for him to break the seal of the purple lock. Unfortunately, the purple lock is too heavy. No barbaric bull can carry the purple lock to the Yellow River. Countless barbaric bulls sighed helplessly. They were powerless to resist their fate. Only the barbaric bull that Ning Fan had transformed into had an unwavering gaze. I didn't expect to be attacked by the heavenly Dao purple lock after stripping off the Dao illusion. Even my mind is bound, causing such an illusion to appear. If one walks to the Yellow River and fetches a liter of clear water, one can dissolve the purple lock that binds one's mind. In a trance, the ballad that Zhao once sang rang in Ning Fan's ears. Little barbaric bull, don't look back. Fight for freedom against the heavens. You won't give up until you see the Yellow River, but the water of the Yellow River is not clear. Perhaps, even if he walked 10,000 miles to the bank of the Yellow River, he wouldn't be able to get a liter of clear water from the muddy Yellow River. He wouldn't be able to melt the purple locket and obtain freedom, however. If he didn't give it a try, he would have even less hope of obtaining freedom. Where is the Yellow River? Ning Fan asked the other barbaric bulls. When they heard that Ning Fan was planning to carry the violet lock to the Yellow River, many of the barbaric bulls immediately laughed. They did not think that Ning Fan had the strength to go to the Yellow River. Only an old barbaric bull told Ning Fan the location of the Yellow River, but he didn't think that Ning Fan could reach the Yellow River. The purple locket on Ning Fan's body was too heavy. Even an intermediate Duzhen cultivator would find it hard to move half a step under the weight of the purple locket. Unfortunately, Ning Fan's strength was already higher than the intermediate Duzhen realm. Even though it was difficult to move his feet, he still struggled to take the first step. Although his pace was slow, he was walking towards the north of the Yellow River step by step. Why can this bull bear the weight of the purple locks? Is he going to the Yellow River? If you can get a liter of water from the Yellow River, you will be able to melt the purple lock and regain your freedom. He actually has a chance to regain his freedom. Why can he do it but we can't? Other than Ning Fan, no other barbaric bull could bear the weight of the purple locks. On the peak of Li Mountain, an early Duzhen old man with scarlet eyes suddenly opened his eyes, revealing a surprised look. There is actually a barbaric bull that can withstand the might of the tribulation lock. That astonishment then turned into killing intent. The old man grinned, revealing his white teeth. He was the tribulation messenger of heaven and earth. Since he had sent down the heavenly punishment, he would not allow anyone to escape from it. Does this bull want to go to the Yellow River? Unfortunately, I won't give it the chance to go there. The old man suddenly stood up and waved his palm. The black-red tribulation force condensed into a black-red lightning in the middle of his palm. Heavenly tribulation, descend. That black-red lightning was the true heavenly tribulation. It was completely different from the heavenly tribulation of the cultivation world in the future. The old man waved his hand to summon the lightning. The sky above Li Mountain was immediately filled with black-red tribulation clouds. The tribulation lightning rumbled and struck towards Ning Fan. That tribulation lightning was enough to easily kill an early Duzhen cultivator. Before the tribulation lightning could reach Ning Fan, it was suddenly dispersed by a furious bull roar, extinguishing the lightning. The barbaric bull that Ning Fan had transformed into glared at the tribulation lightning in the heavens. He activated the tribulation blood in his body, causing the tribulation might on his body to be even stronger than the tribulation lightning. With just a glance, the tribulation clouds between heaven and earth immediately collapsed. Ning Fan turned his head and looked at Li Mountain. With just a glance, that early Duzhen old man coughed out blood and retreated. His eyes were filled with fear. Impossible! How can a low-grade barbarian race have the Tai Tsong tribulation spirit? I can't provoke it. This bull's strength far surpasses mine. If I provoke it again, I'll definitely die. Chapter 872. After being frightened by Ning Fan's ability, How would that elderly tribulation messenger still dare to attack Ning Fan? Not only did he not dare to attack Ning Fan, but he also showed a terrified expression. He immediately flew up from the peak of Li Mountain and landed in front of Ning Fan. He half knelt on the ground and kowtowed to Ning Fan. Fan Lianyun, the Fan family's calamity emissary, did not know the identity of the upper realm's calamity venerables and attacked without reason, offending them. Please forgive me, calamity venerables. Even though Ning Fan's current appearance was just a barbaric bull, the elderly tribulation messenger did not dare to offend him. Ning Fan's strength terrified him. However, what terrified him even more was Ning Fan's identity as the Tai Tsung tribulation spirit. In Fan Lianyun's eyes, Ning Fan possessed the calamity blood. Thus, he was the calamity spirit of Tai Tsung. He was an existence that he could not afford to offend no matter what. Fan Clan's tribulation emissary. Upper realm tribulation venerable. Ning Fan pondered over the message of the elderly calamity messenger and fell into deep thought. He was pulled into a mental illusion by the heavenly Tao purple lock. The people and things in the illusion were all deductions and illusions of the heavenly Tao of the primordial wilderness. They did not truly exist. This calamity envoy named Fan Lianyun should be an ancient cultivator from the immemorial desolate land. Everything in front of him was an illusion. Although it was an illusion, it contained some ancient secrets. What's a tribulation lord of the upper realm? What was the Fan family? What are calamity messengers? Ning Fan asked expressionlessly, trying to pry some ancient secrets from Fan Lianyun. Tribulation Venerable must have just awakened his Jie blood, so he must have many questions about the wilderness. In the wildlands, any living being that had awakened their tribulation blood would become a tribulation spirit of the grand firmament. Once they ascended to the upper worlds, they would become tribulation lords of the upper worlds. The Fan family was the largest family in the wilderness. They obeyed the orders of the tribulation venerables of the upper realms and ruled the wilderness. We cultivators of the Fan clan are the tribulation emissaries of the lower realm. We cultivate the tribulation sense technique and are responsible for raising barbarian slaves. The patriarch of the Fan clan is the barbarian ancestor. He has been cultivating the tribulation technique for 1,000,000 years. I think it won't be long before he can cultivate the tribulation blood and become a tribulation venerable of the upper realm. Fan Lianyun answered respectfully. Ning Fan remained silent for a while. The savage desolation ancient domain was once the place where the tribulation spirit of Tai Tsung in the upper world raised barbarian slaves. No wonder this savage desolation ancient domain is related to tribulation in every aspect, yet it doesn't seem like it. The head of the Fan family is the barbaric ancestor. The barbaric ancestor scripture advises barbarians to submit to adversity. It must be because he wants to help Tai Tsung tribulation spirit to raise a batch of docile barbarian slaves. There are no longer any tribulation emissaries or Fan clan left in ancient savage wilderness domain. But why? Ning Fan turned his head and wanted to ask Fan Lianyun some more questions, but he saw that Fan Lianyun's illusory body suddenly dissipated little by little and turned into light spots before disappearing. The reason why the heavenly Tao created the ancient desolate illusory realm was just to imprison Ning Fan's mind and prevent him from removing the Tao illusion of the stone bridge. However, it was not willing to let Ning Fan know too many ancient secrets. This was also a kind of protection that the heavenly Tao gave to the junior cultivators. There were some ancient secrets that cultivators who had yet to enter the true realm would definitely die if they heard it. Without the corresponding strength, they wouldn't be qualified to know about it. From now on, it would be very difficult for Ning Fan to find out more ancient secrets from the illusory realm. Any ancient living beings that he inquired about would have their illusory bodies dissipate. Forget it. I'll head north to the Yellow River first and use the water of the Yellow River to dissolve the purple locks. Once the purple locks are dissolved, I will be able to leave the illusory realm. Ning Fan lowered his bull head and carried the heavenly Tao purple locks that were as heavy as Li Mountain on his back. With his slow speed, he could only travel half a li in a day. In a year, he could only travel less than 200 li. The distance between Li Mountain and the Yellow River was 10,000 li. With his barbaric bull body and the weight of the purple locks, He had no idea how long it would take for him to walk. Ning Fan could feel that even though the sun and moon were changing and time was passing in the illusory realm, only a few moments had passed in the outside world. The scorching sun was high in the sky and he was moving forward. The north wind was howling and he was moving forward. Day and night were changing, but his footsteps had never stopped. Only a few moments had passed in the outside world, but 50 years had passed in the illusory realm. After 50 years of trekking, Ning Fan finally arrived at the bank of the Yellow River. Looking at the muddy river water that was surging like a dragon, he frowned and remained silent. Rumor has it that a liter of clear water from the Yellow River could dissolve the heavenly Tao purple locks. However, how could there be any clear water in this river that was filled with countless silt? Green light flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. The reason why the Yellow River was muddy seemed to be not just because of the silt. The river water seemed to contain a will that could pollute the lives of the common people. It was because of this will that the silt was attracted to the river, causing the water of the Yellow River to become muddy. There's a cultivator under the river. Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He lifted his hoof and stomped heavily. With his strength, a stomp from the barbaric bull form was enough to trample millions of li of mountains and rivers into ruins. However, due to the protection of the will, the water of the Yellow River actually negated the force of Ning Fan's stomp. This stomp only caused the river to change its course. Cultivator under the river, come out and see me, Ning Fan said in a deep voice. In the dragon palace at the bottom of the Yellow River, a barbaric dragon that was in seclusion was startled when it heard that the river had changed its course. It immediately broke out of the water and transformed into a white-bearded old man. He landed in front of Ning Fan. He was also a tribulation emissary of the Fan clan. His duty was to guard the Yellow River. His eyes were burning with anger. He was angry because someone from the barbarian wilderness had stepped on the Yellow River and caused it to change its course. However, when the white-bearded old man realized that it was Ning Fan who did that, he was immediately shocked and showed a terrified expression. The white-bearded old man felt a suffocating pressure from Ning Fan's body. That pressure came from the tribulation blood in Ning Fan's body. This barbaric bull is actually the Tai Tsong tribulation spirit. The white-bearded old man swallowed his saliva and knelt on the ground in fear and trepidation. He did not dare to meet Ning Fan's eyes. Fan Yuchi, the tribulation emissary of the Fan clan, greets the venerated tribulation of the upper world. May I know what orders venerated tribulation has for me? Let me ask you, how can I make the Yellow River clear? Venerated tribulation wants to use the clear water of the Yellow River to dissolve the shackles? The white-bearded old man was slightly stunned and then said with a bitter smile. If venerated tribulation has come for this matter, I have to tell you a piece of bad news. The water of the Yellow River will never be clear. Why? Because this Yellow River is formed from a trace of tribulation intent left behind by that Lord. It has the will to pollute everything. As long as the will isn't extinguished, the Yellow River will never be clear. Fan Yuchi's expression immediately turned fearful when he mentioned that Lord. Fortunately, this was just an illusion. Otherwise, he would lose his life just thinking about that Lord with his current cultivation base. Ning Fan's expression immediately changed. Other than the Lord of Tribulation intent, who else could it be that was unimaginable? The river water contained the will of the Lord of Tribulation intent to pollute everything. The heavenly Tao purple shackles on Ning Fan's body also contain the will of immortal Emperor Zido. Actually, it's not that there's no clear water in the Yellow River. It's said that the source of the Yellow River has water that's as clear as a mirror. However, it's extremely far away. Even if I fly with all my might, it will still take me a few months to reach the source of the Yellow River. Now that venerated tribulation is carrying a heavy shackle, I'm afraid that it'll take a long time for him to reach there. Moreover, it's said that the Lord left behind an extremely strong will at the source of the Yellow River. Ordinary living beings can't even get close to the source of the Yellow River. The white-bearded old man added. Ning Fan remained silent for a while. After dismissing the white-bearded old man, he walked along the Yellow River alone. The source of the Yellow River was extremely far away. Even a mid-true crossing realm cultivator would need a few months to reach there. If it was Ning Fan who carried the purple shackles on his back, he was afraid that he wouldn't be able to reach the source of the Yellow River without millions of years. Fortunately, this place was an illusory realm. Even if he spent millions of years in the illusory realm, it would only be a moment in the outside world. In this place, Ning Fan didn't need to worry about the consumption of time. However, he couldn't cultivate in the illusory realm either. He buried the bull's head and walked along the river with heavy steps. In a year, he would travel no more than 200 li. In 100 years, he would travel no more than 20,000 li. In 10,000 years, he would travel no more than 2 million li. Ning Fan had forgotten how long he had walked, how much blood and sweat he had left behind, and how many years he had gone through. The passage of time in the illusory realm was meaningless to the improvement of his cultivation base. After 100,000 years of traveling alone, Ning Fan still hadn't seen the source of the Yellow River. After 1,000,000 years of hard work, Ning Fan still hadn't seen the source of the Yellow River. 5 million years later, a large snowy mountain finally appeared in front of Ning Fan. The source of the Yellow River was in the valley surrounded by snowy mountains. Outside the valley, there was a strong will that forbade anyone from entering the valley to search for the source of the Yellow River. If it was Ning Fan in the past, he certainly wouldn't be able to resist such a strong will. However, in the illusory realm, Ning Fan had turned into a barbaric bull and carried heavy chains on his back, trudging arduously for 5 million years. 5 million years of hardship did not bring any improvement to Ning Fan's cultivation base. Instead, it continuously tempered Ning Fan's indomitable will. He used his bull's horns to hit the invisible will barrier outside the valley. His footsteps became slower and it became more difficult for him to walk. At the same time, he was being suppressed by the wills of immortal sovereign Zido and the Lord of Tribulation Intent, making it difficult for him to even breathe. However, he still didn't stop moving. The obsession in his eyes had already become indestructible after 5 million years of hard work. I want to enter the valley. Against the willpower of the two peerless experts, Ning Fan stepped on the snow that was up to his knees. He gritted his teeth and walked stubbornly into the valley. What entered his sight was an icy lake that was filled with frigid qi. This icy lake was the source of the Yellow River. The water of this icy lake was crystal clear. However, the coldness of the water made Ning Fan shiver uncontrollably. When Ning Fan approached the lakeside and got close to the lake, he was shocked. He saw a tree at the center of the icy lake. It was an ice tree that was rooted at the bottom of the lake. The appearance of the ice tree looked like a Bodhi tree, but it wasn't exactly the same. The branches of the tree were filled with 6-edged white flowers that gave off a cold fragrance. Just by smelling the fragrance of the white flowers, the heavenly life green qi in Ning Fan's body actually increased a little. His cultivation base of the unity of heaven and man had improved. This increase was fake. It was an illusion in the illusory realm. If he gets out of the illusory realm, the amount of heavenly life green qi would still be the same as before. Even so, Ning Fan was still shocked. He guessed that this ice tree was most likely the great fortune that Kei Shensi mentioned in the past. It could raise the cultivation base of the heavenly life realm. He didn't expect that Ning Fan could actually turn into a barbaric bull and meet this tree in the illusory realm. The barbaric bull of the lower world can actually withstand the will of the Tribulation Lord and come to the Chin tree. A woman's voice that sounded unfamiliar yet familiar suddenly came from Ning Fan's back. That voice carried a coldness that kept people 1,000 miles away, but it didn't carry any hostility. Ning Fan's heart skipped a beat for no reason. He turned around and looked at the person who spoke. What he saw was a lady in red dress standing on the snow-covered land beside the ice lake. That lady's qi was extremely strong. It was even stronger than Xiang Bozi's qi. There were red lightning crackling around her body. Her eyes and lips were blood red. She was wearing a red dress. Standing in the snow, she looked like a beautiful red plum blossom. That lady's appearance was very similar to Hong Yi's, but there seemed to be some differences. You also have tribulation blood in your body? Are you also the Tai Tsong tribulation spirit? Only then did the lady in red notice the tribulation blood in Ning Fan's body. She couldn't help but reveal a look of interest. I didn't expect that there is another Tai Tsong tribulation spirit who intends to betray the tribulation lord and steal the Chen flower other than me. You little bull are very interesting. The lady in red robes approached Ning Fan. She reached out her cold and smooth palm and stroked Ning Fan's ox spine. Ning Fan looked at the lady in disbelief. The lady's appearance gradually overlapped with the image of Hong Yi in his mind. You are Hong Yi? Hong Yi? No, I'm not Hong Yi. I'm the red yaksha. But the name Hong Yi isn't bad. The lady in red smiled seductively. She tapped the snow with the tip of her toes and landed lightly under the ice tree at the center of the lake like a red butterfly. The nutrients of the chin tree are the mortal fate of all living beings. The chin flower blooms once every 5 million years. After it blooms, it will fall. I'm close to opening the second gate of the heavenly being realm and I need this flower. I'm afraid I can't let you have it, little bull. Speaking of which, even if I let you have these chin flowers, you won't be able to take them away. You have never followed the tribulation lord before. Thus, you don't know that plucking the chin flower requires a special immortal art. If you don't know this immortal art, you won't be able to pluck the chin flower from the chin tree. The chin flower belongs to me. All the water in the ice lake belongs to you. Originally, I wanted to take the lake water as well. However, judging from your appearance, it seems like you really need the lake water to dissolve. So, I'll let you have it. As soon as the lady finished speaking, she did not look at Ning Fan again. Instead, she activated the tribulation sense power with her bare hands and formed a series of mysterious hand seals. After forming hundreds of hand seals, she carefully reached out her hand to pluck the 6-edged white flowers and put them into her mouth. After consuming all of the white flowers, the red-clothed woman giggled and flew away. However, before she left, she still gave Ning Fan a glance with interest. She was very interested in this little bull who trespassed into the snow valley. She left. However, she did not know that Ning Fan had memorized all the hand seals she used to pluck the chin flowers. If Ning Fan really follows Kei Shensi to search for the chin tree and pluck the chin flowers in the future, he would certainly use these hand seals. She's not Hong Yi. She's the red yaksha. The red yaksha. The innate lightning spirit that I killed that day said that I'm the slave of the red yaksha. It said that both of us are traitors of the Tai Tsong tribulation spirit. Could it be that what I just saw was the scene where the red yaksha betrayed the Tai Tsong tribulation spirit? The red yaksha. She must have some kind of relationship with Hong Yi. After the red-robed lady left, Ning Fan suddenly leaped into the icy lake. The lake water was bone-piercingly cold. It made Ning Fan shiver uncontrollably as if he was being pricked by needles. The water of the lake contained the willpower left by the Lord of Tribulation intent. It turned into ice and eroded Ning Fan's Dao heart. Fortunately, Ning Fan was still carrying the Dao lock of immortal sovereign Zido's willpower. At this moment, the two types of willpower began to clash against each other. The willpower in the icy lake was constantly being weakened. The willpower of the purple lock on Ning Fan's back was also weakening bit by bit. After an unknown period of time, the purple lock on Ning Fan's back completely melted and collapsed. The willpower in the icy lake also dissipated completely. At the moment when the purple lock collapsed, Ning Fan's consciousness returned to his body and left the illusory realm. He opened his eyes beside the true illusion river. The heavenly Dao purple lock that was restraining him collapsed without any warning. The water of the true illusion river flowed in reverse at this moment. The immortal sovereign's willpower that was left in the river was disturbed by Ning Fan's action of breaking the lock. The willpower that was suppressing Ning Fan's body immediately loosened. Ning Fan seized the opportunity. His eyes flashed with green light. Without saying a word, he began to peel off the Dao illusion of the stone bridge. The process lasted for a whole day. After one day, Ning Fan had peeled off 1/3 of the Dao illusion of the stone bridge. 1/3 of the stone bridge had turned into a true bridge. After one day, the willpower of the true illusion river had already recovered to its original state. The pressure that was as heavy as a mountain pressed on Ning Fan's body once again. not allowing him to continue peeling off the Tao illusion. This young man has actually built 1/3 of the true bridge. Under the true illusion river, the river demon's eyes widened in shock. It was his first time seeing someone who could build 1/3 of the true bridge on the true illusion river. At first, he did not believe that someone could build a bridge on the true illusion river. However, at this moment, he had a hint of confidence in Ning Fan's ability. This young man might be able to set a precedent in the illusionary world and build a true bridge on the true illusion river. The water of the true illusion river had already returned to its original state. At the center of the river, the second purple-golden whirlpool slowly appeared. Suddenly, a purple-golden palm imprint flew out from the whirlpool and slammed heavily at Ning Fan. The power of the palm imprint was already infinitely close to the void-rending strike. Moreover, within that palm imprint was a willpower that was above everything. It would not allow anyone to go against it. Ordinary cultivators would naturally find it difficult to resist the palm imprint, let alone the willpower contained within it. However, Ning Fan had gone through 5 million years of bitter cultivation in the illusory realm and continued doing the same stupid act. His willpower was already indestructible. With his current strength, it was not impossible for him to block the void-rending palm imprint. Rain Yin Yang Unseal. Battle Yin Yang, Unseal. Ning Fan performed a hand seal with all 10 of his fingers. His aura force instantly reached the peak of the Dujin realm. The initial completion of the Rain Yin Yang gave Ning Fan the ability to control the reign of heaven and earth. The initial completion of the battle Yin Yang gave Ning Fan the ability to control the battle intent of heaven and earth. At the moment when Ning Fan unsealed the battle Yin Yang, the river demon's expression suddenly changed. He clearly felt that some kind of power in his body had disappeared out of nowhere. Upon closer inspection, he realized that he did not lose any of his power. What he did not know was that the power that disappeared was called battle intent. It had been seized by Ning Fan. It was the weakening of the willpower. Of course, he did not understand it. That palm imprint originally contained the willpower left behind by the immortal sovereign. However, as Ning Fan unsealed the battle Yin Yang, the willpower in the palm imprint was also weakened. Ning Fan turned his hand and sent a palm strike at the purple-golden palm imprint. When the two palms collided, Ning Fan was immediately sent flying like a kite with a broken string. He spurted out blood and was sent flying. As for the purple-golden palm imprint, it completely collapsed. As soon as the palm imprint was destroyed, billowing illusory mist immediately rolled towards Ning Fan. Ning Fan's expression changed slightly. He tried to avoid the mist, but he was still a step too late. The mist invaded his mind. Second illusion. Within the mist, an indifferent voice that was like the great Tao resounded. It was the voice of the heavenly Tao itself. As soon as the voice fell, Ning Fan lost control of his mind once again and was trapped in the illusory realm of his mind. What entered his eyes was still the ancient and desolate world. However, this time, Ning Fan was not a barbarian bull but a barbarian fish. He was a barbarian fish that was kept in the Grand Firmament Tribulation Pond. In the Tribulation Pond, he was not the only barbarian fish. There were thousands of other barbarian fish. All of them had purple-golden scales. Layers of restrictions were set up in the Tribulation Pond to prevent any barbarian fish from escaping. At the bank of the pond, 10 or so tribulation envoys were guarding the pond. Each of them had a cultivation base above the crossing truth realm. The barbarian fish clan sure has the guts to offend the tribulation venerables of the upper world. I'm afraid they won't be able to live for long. The formation of the Tribulation Pond will kill thousands of barbarian fish every day and offer their souls to the tribulation venerables of the upper world for them to enjoy. I heard that the souls of barbarian fish are extremely delicious. Unfortunately, our status is too low and we don't have the chance to enjoy them. The words of the tribulation envoys were heard by countless barbarian fish who had a blank expression on their faces. The barbarian fish in the pond had already succumbed to their fate. They had long forgotten how to resist. The grand formation of the Tribulation Pond would kill thousands of barbarian fish every day. Even though there were many barbarian fish in the pond, they would all be eliminated one day. In order to survive, the only way was to escape from the grand formation of the tribulation pond. There were many barbarian fish who tried to escape from the formation, but none of them could break the formation's light. All of the barbarian fish who tried to escape were already dead. Now, no barbarian fish dared to escape from the formation. All of them were struggling to survive. The barbarian fish that Ning Fan had transformed into was also trapped in the tribulation pond. Unlike the other barbarian fish, Ning Fan was naturally unwilling to wait for death in the pond. Even though transforming into a barbarian fish was just an illusion, Ning Fan's main body would also be implicated if his fish body dies in the illusion. Ning Fan tried to break free from the illusion as soon as he entered it. If he wants to return to his body, he must break free from the blood pond. Am I trapped by the illusion again? Last time, I broke free from the purple lock and disrupted the will of the true illusion river. I seized the opportunity to strip away 1/3 of the Tao illusion. This time, if I can break free again, I might be able to disrupt the will of the river again. The thing that imprisons my mind is this grand formation of the tribulation pond. If I break this formation, I will be able to break free. Chapter 873. Ning Fan's fish body turned into a ray of purple-golden light. He swam towards the surface of the tribulation pond and leaped out of the water. The moment Man Yu made a leap, he reached a height of 3,000 li. The formation light in the 3,000 li of the sky was as hard as a wall. Ning Fan's head crashed into the formation light just like that, causing his head to bleed. The array light only trembled slightly, and not even a crack appeared on it. When he returned to the tribulation pond, his blood immediately dyed it red. Countless barbarian fish began to mock Ning Fan, laughing at his futile attempt to escape. The tribulation emissaries who were guarding the edge of the tribulation pond shook their heads and chuckled. They did not think that Ning Fan could escape from the grand formation of the tribulation pond. This world is a cage, and everything in the world is a prisoner. You're just a barbarian fish. So how can you hope to obtain freedom? Our lives were created by the heavens and earth, so naturally they should be taken back by the heavens and earth. You should follow the will of the heavens, so how could you hope to obtain immortality? The words of the calamity envoys were a little harsh, causing Ning Fan's eyes to turn slightly grim. This formation light isn't weak, there's an extremely strong will inside the formation light. The key to breaking the formation is the collision of wills. Battle Yin Yang, unseal. As soon as he activated the Black Star technique in his body, the injury on his fish head immediately healed. As soon as the seal on the Yin Yang battle was lifted, the willpower of the grand formation was immediately weakened by Ning Fan. Ning Fan leaped out of the water surface once again and crashed into the grand formation. This time, Ning Fan's head was still bleeding and the fish scales fell off. However, the grand formation was also cracked by Ning Fan. Impossible. Why was he able to create a crack in the array light? But we can't do it. Countless barbarian fish were in disbelief. It is Jie Shui's power. This barbarian fish is actually the great firmament tribulation spirit. Outside the formation light, the expressions of the tribulation emissaries changed drastically. They could feel the chi of tribulation blood that was spreading out from Ning Fan's body. They were unable to understand why a grand heaven tribulation spirit would appear in the barbarian fish clan. Immediately, several people sent a sound-transmitting flying sword into the distance. After a few breaths, a woman stepped on azure lightning and arrived. She was a tribulation spirit from the upper realm, and her name was Qin Nerwo. Shockingly, she had the cultivation of the 8th eternal tribulation. Fan family's tribulation emissaries greet Lord Green. As revered Green has seen, a tribulation venerable has appeared in the barbarian fish clan. One by one, the Fan clan's tribulation emissaries kowtowed to the Green Lightning Lady in fear and trepidation. It's not the real grand firmament tribulation spirit. In the past 10 years, not a single grand firmament tribulation spirit has been born in the upper realm, I don't know where the calamity blood in its body came from. Its chi is very disgusting. It's very similar to the red yaksha. I don't like it. Kill it. Qing Na Luo's phoenix-like eyes turned cold and she gave the order to kill Ning Fan. When the tribulation emissaries of Fan family heard this, their faces immediately turned pale. How would they dare to kill the Tai Tsong tribulation spirit with their lowly status? However, this was Qing Na Luo's order, so he had to obey it. The tribulation emissaries gritted their teeth and finally mustered up their courage to activate the formation plate, trying to kill Ning Fan with the power of the Grand Formation. Sensing the intense killing intent in the Grand Formation, Ning Fan's expression changed and he looked at the edge of the tribulation pond. As he looked, he actually saw a familiar figure behind the calamity emissaries. It was the woman with green lightning whom he had killed. Sir? I didn't expect that I could borrow the power of illusion to deduce the ancient times and see her in the past. When she was at her peak, she was actually an immortal sovereign who had undergone the 8th tribulation. That woman with green lightning was the innate lightning spirit that Ning Fan had killed in the second round of the tomb competition. The Grand Formation was an ancient sword formation. As soon as the killing formation was activated, black and red sword rays slashed across the sky above the tribulation pond. Ning Fan circulated the power of the calamity blood in his body to the maximum, emitting the power of calamity sense, which easily shattered the sword rays. This Grand Formation couldn't kill him. He crashed into the Grand Formation again, and finally, a hole was made on the Grand Formation. Without any hesitation, Ning Fan turned into a ray of black and red light, flashed past the formation light and left. The barbaric flash sword formation was actually broken. Is this the divine ability of the Tai Tsong tribulation spirit? The other tribulation emissaries' faces were filled with shock. Qing Naluo's pretty face turned gloomy. At the moment when Ning Fan broke the formation and escaped, she actually sensed a trace of unusual qi from his body. She didn't know why the qi of the calamity blood in Ning Fan's body was very similar to hers. Why does this barbarian fish have the qi of my calamity blood? That's right. I understand now. When the red yaksha betrayed me, I destroyed his corpse but also lost a lot of his calamity blood. Could it be that this barbarian fish had devoured some of my calamity blood at that time and evolved into the Tai Tsong tribulation spirit? Humph! How dare you devour my calamity blood? You're courting death. Qing Naluo sneered. She tapped the ground with the tip of her foot and revealed her true form of a thunder cat. Immediately, she turned into a ray of green light and chased after Ning Fan. Lightning flashed in the cat's eyes. Immediately, boundless illusory power swept towards Ning Fan, forming illusions. Illusion technique, huh? It's just an illusion. How dare you chase after me? How arrogant! Sensing that someone was chasing after him, Ning Fan's eyes darkened. He displayed the Fu Li clan's innate ability to reflect the illusion technique. If this place wasn't an illusory realm and Ning Fan was facing the real existence of the Green Lightning Lady, it was absolutely impossible for him to reflect the illusion technique of an immortal emperor with his current cultivation base. Unfortunately, the Green Lightning Lady was just an illusion while Ning Fan was a real person who had entered the illusory realm. In this illusory realm, the Green Lightning Lady's illusion technique could not bewitch Ning Fan at all. Bang! As Ning Fan shouted, the Green Lightning Lady felt pain in her eyes and black blood flowed out. She withdrew her Thundercat form and stared at Ning Fan in disbelief. She was a dignified immortal emperor who had undergone the 8th tribulation of the ancient times. Her illusion technique was actually broken by a barbarian fish who had yet to break through to the true form. How could this be possible? Qing Naluo, you're really getting worse as you age. Your illusion technique was actually broken by a mere barbarian fish. Suddenly, an evil-looking man wearing purple battle armor appeared in front of Ning Fan. His face was as pale as a ghost and he was as thin as a match. The purple-armored man raised his hand and summoned a skeleton that was surrounded by purple lightning. 2 rays of purple light suddenly shot out from the hollow eyes of the skeleton and swept past Ning Fan. Immediately, Ning Fan was kept into the internal space of the skeleton magic treasure. Ziluluo. Why are you here? Qing Naluo knitted her brows and her eyes flashed with cold light. The reason why I'm here is because of the Tribulation Lord's order. Red Yaksha has betrayed the Tribulation Lord. The Tribulation Lord has ordered both of us to go to the illusory realm and eliminate him. What? Go to the illusory realm? With my identity as the Tribulation Spirit of Tai Tsung, entering that realm will only result in death. Qing Naluo's face was filled with fear. So what if it's death? Do you dare to disobey the Tribulation Lord's order? However, before we go to the illusory realm, I'm very interested in torturing this barbarian fish. A barbarian fish that can break your illusion technique is very interesting, isn't it? Zilu Luo smiled evilly and turned to leave, leaving Qing Naluo alone with a gloomy expression. In the world of skeletons, there was a boundless black ocean. The barbarian fish that Ning Fan had transformed into was swimming in the ocean. He leaped to the surface of the ocean again and again, trying to escape from this place. However, he realized that he couldn't do it. I've already broken through the Tribulation Pool Grand Formation. My mind is supposed to be free. But I didn't expect to be trapped by that purple-armored man again. This is clearly an illusory realm, but the feeling it gives me is so real. Suddenly, the roars of beasts resounded from the black ocean. Countless ferocious sea beasts were swimming towards Ning Fan. Before we go to the illusory realm, I have plenty of time to play with you. Don't disappoint me. This black ocean is refined by me using the 4 symbols blood spring. It's a supreme treasure for cultivating the Tao image. Stay here and fight those sea beasts. Fuse into my Tao image. The purple-armored man's voice resounded in Ning Fan's ears. Then he stopped talking. The purple-armored man's original intention was to imprison Ning Fan with the skeleton magical treasure and force him to fight against the sea beasts. Then he would slowly fuse it into his Tao image and turn it into his own power. He did not think that Ning Fan, who was trapped in the world of skeletons, would have any hope of escaping. Before going to the illusory realm, he still had other things to do. Thus, he naturally did not have the time to pay attention to Ning Fan. He went into seclusion to study other abilities. 4 symbols blood spring. The water of this black ocean is actually the 4 symbols blood spring. While dodging the attacks of the sea beasts, Ning Fan was observing the water of the black ocean. His eyes were filled with surprise and joy. In the illusory realm, everything was illusory. Cultivating here would not improve one's cultivation base. However, even in the illusory realm, Ning Fan could still do some things to improve his strength. Refining pills in the illusory realm would not improve the cultivation of one's medicine soul, but it could increase one's alchemy experience. Cultivating in the illusory realm could not increase one's cultivation, but it could increase one's comprehension. Even though the 4 divisions blood springs were illusions, they were different from ordinary illusions. The 4 symbols blood springs were natural treasures born from illusions, and they were used to cultivate Tao images. Even though the 4 symbols blood spring in front of him was just an illusion, it had the miraculous effect of assisting in the cultivation of the Tao image. However, the 4 symbols blood springs could only be used to cultivate high-grade Tao elephants. Low-grade Tao elephants could not be cultivated through the 4 symbols blood springs. Ning Fan had 2 Tao images in total. One of them was the Devil Dark Knight while the other was the Tao image of the Big Dipper. Although he had cultivated 2 great Tao images, he had only cultivated them to the initial success realm. If the Tao image was mastered, it could even form a supernatural power that could be transformed into a Tao technique attack. If the Tao image was perfected, it could even cultivate a Tao blood, greatly increasing the level of a cultivator's bloodline. However, the cultivation of the Tao image was too difficult. Even the ancient cultivators could only cultivate the Tao image to completion. Very few people could cultivate the Tao image to completion. Right now, even though he was trapped in the illusory realm, he had a great opportunity to use the 4 symbols blood spring to cultivate his Tao image. The 4 symbols blood springs were also divided into different types. The blood springs that formed this black ocean had dense demonic energy. He could use it to cultivate the demonized Night Tao image, but the effect of cultivating the Big Dipper Tao image was not good. That violet-armored man wants to use this spring of blood to trap me and make me fuse into the Black Sea to transform into the power of his Tao image. Unfortunately, his plan is bound to fail. Tao Mammoth appear. A devilish light flashed in Ningfan's eyes. Immediately, the world of skeletons fell into darkness. This time, Ningfan did not summon the Tao image of the Big Dipper. Instead, he only summoned the Tao image of the demonized Dark Knight. The eyes of all the sea beasts that attempted to besiege Ningfan dimmed, and they were lost in the darkness. Ningfan controlled the power of the Tao elephant of the Dark Knight realm and frantically devoured the blood spring of the 4 symbols in the seawater. The Dark Knight Tao manifestation became more and more solid, and its aura grew stronger and stronger. After 10 years, the power of the demonized Dark Knight Tao manifestation had doubled. After 100 years, the Tao image of the demonized Dark Knight Tao manifestation had finally reached grand completion. After 1,000 years, the 4 symbols blood springs in the Black Sea had been completely devoured by Ningfan. However, the Tao image was still far away from breaking through to the grand completion realm. The violet-armored man went into seclusion for 1,000 years. Naturally, he did not know that a great change had occurred in the world of skeletons. At the moment when Ningfan devoured all the 4 symbols blood springs, the world of skeletons cracked from the middle with a cracking sound. Ningfan's eyes seemed to have turned into extreme darkness. His body disappeared in the night and reappeared outside the world of skeletons. The expression of the violet-armored man who was comprehending his divine ability suddenly changed. He took out the purple skull magical treasure that was broken into 2 halves from his storage pouch. He was in disbelief. The 4 symbols blood springs have been devoured by that barbarian fish. Impossible. This barbarian fish has yet to enter the true realm. How can he cultivate the Tao image? Even if this barbarian fish was talented and had cultivated the Tao image before the crossing truth realm, the grade of its Tao image wouldn't be too high. How could it be qualified to devour the blood springs directly? Only a heaven-grade Tao image can directly devour the blood springs for cultivation. Even I don't have a heaven-grade Tao image. Thus, I could only settle for the next best thing. I used the skull magical treasure to condense the spring into a sea to improve the cultivation of the Tao image step by step. This barbarian fish actually devoured the blood springs directly. How did it do that? The violet-armored man's eyes were filled with madness. He suddenly raised his head and looked outside the cave. In the sky outside the cave, there was a dark escaping light speeding away. It completely blended into the night silently. What a strange escaping light. It can actually blend into the night completely. There was no sound at all. If I didn't cultivate the 7 Tribulations secret technique, I wouldn't be able to sense this escaping light. Humph! A mere barbarian fish wants to run away after devouring my blood springs? You won't be able to escape. The violet-armored man sneered. He took a step out of the cave and chased after Ningfan. However, before he could catch up to Ningfan, the illusion of Ningfan's body collapsed and disappeared. The entire illusory world collapsed at this moment. Before the violet-armored man could catch up to Ningfan, Ningfan had already broken free from the illusion. When his consciousness returned to his body, Ningfan opened his eyes again. A devil light flashed in his eyes and the world immediately fell into darkness. This darkness was a Tao technique that Ningfan had cultivated after his demonized Dark Knight Tao image reached grand completion. This Tao technique was only at the initial stage. It wasn't perfect yet, but it seemed to be an illusion technique to trap the enemy. Ningfan had yet to test its exact power. He would only know after trying it out. After dispersing the darkness, Ningfan looked at the true illusion river that was flowing in reverse. His eyes were filled with a hint of confusion. Were all the illusions that he had experienced fake? If they were fake, how could he cultivate the Tao image to grand completion? Fake illusions could cultivate the Tao image and increase one's experience in pill concoction. Were these illusions fake? Did they never exist? After a long time, Ningfan finally got rid of the distracting thoughts. He broke free from the illusions of his mind and once again disturbed the will of the true illusion river. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Ning Fan spent a day to strip away 1/3 of the Tao illusion of the stone bridge. 2/3 of the entire stone bridge had turned into a real bridge. At the center of the river, the third purple-golden whirlpool was forming bit by bit. As soon as the whirlpool was formed, the will of the true illusion river immediately returned to its original state. Then, a ray of purple-golden light that seemed both real and illusory flew out of the whirlpool and went into Ning Fan's glabella. This time, Ning Fan did not avoid it. Instead, he allowed the light to trap his mind in the illusions. He knew that as long as he breaks the illusions for the third time, the will of the true illusion river would be disturbed again. At that time, it would be the time for him to completely extract the Tao illusion of the stone bridge. There was only one illusion left before he could complete the true illusion bridge. Ning Fan appeared in the illusions of his mind once again. This time, he was a barbarian butterfly. He was currently in the Fan clan of the ancient wild region. He was flying in midair, looking down at the tribulation emissaries of the Fan clan who were kneeling on the ground. All of the cultivators of the Fan clan below him, regardless of their cultivation bases, wore expressions of indignation. In front of them stood a two-headed old man with a cold expression. That person was the barbarian ancestor. Old ancestor, have you really decided to sacrifice all the living beings of the wild region? Isn't this a little too cruel? One of the cultivators of the Fan clan gritted his teeth and said, "Cruel? As long as I can become the true grand firmament tribulation spirit, so what if I have to sacrifice the entire wild region? I still need 3 million nascent souls. With another 3 million nascent souls, I can become the true grand firmament tribulation spirit. With my quasi-saint realm cultivation base, if I have the tribulation sense, I can even put up a fight against a saint of the Xiu clan. Activate the immemorial dust-defying formation. I want to sacrifice the blood of the wild region here." Chapter 874. Blood Sacrifice in the Wilderness. It was just 4 simple words, but they contained the craziness of the barbaric ancestor to become the tribulation spirit of grand firmament at all costs. One of the barbaric ancestor's 2 heads revealed its white teeth. Its smile was cold and horrifying. Its eyes shimmered with a scarlet tribulation light. The other head had a sorrowful and pained expression. It wanted to speak, but it could not speak. In fear of the barbaric ancestor's might, the Fan family's tribulation emissaries all lowered their heads, not daring to breathe loudly. Once upon a time, the boorish ancestor had a grand dream. That dream was to use his existence to protect the living beings of the desolate lands from the invasion of other races. However, ever since he started cultivating the calamity arts, the boar ancestor's personality turned colder and more ruthless. Now, in order to cultivate the true tribulation blood and become a grand firmament tribulation spirit, he did not hesitate to sacrifice the entire desolate land. Barbaric ancestor has changed. The Fan family cultivators sighed, but no one dared to disobey the barbaric ancestor's orders. On the other hand, Man Dai, who was in the form of Ning Fan, stared at the barbaric ancestor below with a solemn expression. Ning Fan was not the only barbarian butterfly in this place. However, he was the only barbarian butterfly that possessed spiritual intelligence. All the other barbarian butterflies had blank eyes. With Ning Fan's eyesight, he could naturally see that there were 2 wills inside the barbaric ancestor's body. One was the boar ancestor's own consciousness, while the other was the consciousness controlled by the tribulation will. The one who wanted to sacrifice the wildlands was the consciousness controlled by the tribulation will. As for the barbaric ancestor's consciousness, he was no longer able to resist the corrosion of the tribulation will. He was unable to control his body and could only watch helplessly as the tribulation will controlled him. Step by step, he was sacrificed to the wilderness. Is this the power of the tribulation will? Even the barbaric ancestor who has the cultivation of a quasi-saint can only become a marionette once he's controlled by the tribulation will. That is. Ning Fan's eyes narrowed as he looked down. The Fan family was located in a desolate mountain valley that was obscured by sandstorms. With the Boer ancestors' order, all the Fan family cultivators took out their array banners and stood in various parts of the valley, waving them. Amidst the rumbling, countless ravines appeared in the valley. As Boer ancestor formed a seal with his fingers, the ravines immediately began to move and connect with each other, forming a gigantic rift. At the same time, a gigantic statue of the ancient man of the Berserkers rose from the crack in the ground. After that, 5 more ancient barbarian statues rose from the crack. All of the 6 ancient barbarian statues were in the form of beast statues. The savage beasts carved on them had strange shapes and evil chi which Ning Fan had never felt before. Even though they were just 6 lifeless ancient barbarian statues, they could still vaguely hear a strong heartbeat. 6th Barbarian Ancestor, 7th Barbarian Ancestor Fan Makung, please manifest yourself and lift the seal on the ancient dust-defying formation. Ancestor Barbaric cupped his fists and bowed towards the 6 ancient barbarian statues. Then, he took out 10,000 inverse nascent souls and sacrificed them to the 6 ancient barbarian statues. In an instant, the 6 statues of the ancient god of the Berserkers started spinning on the spot, emitting cracking sounds. The ancient statue spins, the dust formation opens, imprisoning all living beings in the world. Just as the barbaric ancestor's voice faded, the entire sky of the wilderness shattered like a mirror. Tainted black-red tribulation clouds surged out from the cracks as thunder rumbled incessantly. It was as if an all-consuming will had enveloped the entire wildlands. Cracks spread out across the land, and light flickered as they connected to form a spectacular spell formation. The spell formation was so large that it covered almost the entire wildlands, and divided it into 42 spell formations. It was a scene that shook heaven and earth. As the formation light spread across the land of the wildlands, it immediately shattered and turned into 42 spell formations. Countless living beings screamed and wailed in agony as they fell to the ground. Be it the barbarians or the wild beasts, as long as their cultivation base was at the first step, they would not be able to withstand the power of the formation light. As soon as they were enveloped by the formation light, their bodies began to dissolve into a pool of blood. The pool of blood seeped into the formation light bit by bit, turning into the energy needed to activate the grand formation. In this era, the barbarians did not have any cultivation base. There were still many barbarians like the cultivators of the Fan family who had cultivation base. Those barbarians and wild beasts whose cultivation base had reached the second step flew into the sky in horror. They did not understand what was going on. The barbarian butterflies beside Ning Fan did not have much cultivation base. As soon as the formation light was activated, their bodies immediately exploded into a mist of blood. The mist of blood also fused into the formation light. With Ning Fan's abilities, he naturally would not be blown up by the formation light. However, his eyes were filled with astonishment. With his eyesight and his understanding of the secret word force, he could naturally see that the power of the grand formation that covered the entire wildlands was unusually terrifying. The 6 ancient barbarian statues were the key to activating the grand formation. The tens of thousands of defiant infant souls that served as sacrifices were also the key to activating the grand formation. More and more blood fused into the formation light. Gradually, the sky was torn apart by countless blood-red cracks and blood rain began to fall. The mountains began to collapse and the rivers began to dry up. The blood-red flood began to engulf the entire wildlands. The entire wildlands seemed to have turned into a world of blood. It was as if doomsday had arrived. No one knew how many living beings had fallen under the annihilation of the grand formation. Even though Ning Fan knew that this place was an illusory realm and a replay of the ancient times, he was still greatly astonished. Even though he had been killing for a long time, he had never seen such a crazy act of blood sacrifice. This slaughter was too heavy. Second revolution of the ancient barbarian statues, reverse dust formation, devour immortal cultivators with blood. The barbaric ancestor once again sacrificed tens of thousands of defiant infant souls to the 6 barbarian statues. The 6 barbarian statues rotated again amidst cracking sounds. The sea of blood that engulfed the wildlands immediately emitted a boundless suction force. Any barbarian cultivators and wild beasts whose cultivation base was below the crossing truth realm were all sucked into the sea of blood. When the suction force swept towards Ning Fan, he only swayed a little. He did not fall into the sea of blood from the sky. Even though he was not the crossing truth realm, his strength was far beyond that of an ordinary crossing truth realm cultivator. Thus, it was impossible for him to be sucked in by the suction force. This barbaric butterfly is obviously not at the crossing truth realm, but it can withstand the blood-devouring force of the second revolution ancient statue. The sky behind Ning Fan was suddenly torn apart and a group of cultivators wearing black monk robes walked out of it. Ning Fan's heart skipped a beat. All of a sudden, he felt a strong sense of danger behind him. Just as he turned around, there was already a gigantic tribulation sense palm imprint that blotted out the sky. It slapped him with tremendous force, causing him to lose his balance and fall towards the sea of blood below. The power of that palm imprint had obviously reached the level of an ancient attack. That palm imprint did not have the intention to kill Ning Fan. It just slapped him into the sea of blood below. At the moment when he fell into the sea of blood, Ning Fan clearly saw that it was a group of 3-eyed black monks who slapped him into the sea of blood. Each of them had a vast chi of tribulation blood which was comparable to the strength of an ancient cultivator. All of them were the tribulation spirits of the Tai Tsong realm. It's the upper realm's tribulation spirit. Countless Fan family cultivators exclaimed. Tribulation monks from the upper realm. Why have you come to my wilderness? Asked the barbaric ancestor in a deep voice. Barbaric ancestor's words only received a sneer from the 3-eyed black monks. What's the reason? It's naturally to stop you from becoming the tribulation spirit of Tai Tsong. If the ancient statue transforms 3 times, then the nascent soul will be reborn. You're just a slave from the barbarian wasteland. How dare you dream of becoming a tribulation spirit of the upper realms? This immemorial dust-defying formation is a gift given to the first Berserker ancestor by the Culpa Lord. Before you, there were 6 Berserker ancestors who tried to use this formation to cultivate the body of a tribulation spirit. Unfortunately, all of them failed and died in the formation, turning into a statue of the god of Berserkers. You're the 7th and the last one. The wilderness is only a place where the tribulation lord raises the defiant nascent souls. All the defiant nascent souls raised by you slaves belong to the tribulation lord. You don't have the right to use them for yourself. The quality of the inverse infant produced in the wilderness is too low. The tribulation master no longer needs the wilderness, and he no longer needs the Fan family. 7th Berserker ancestor, Fan Makung, you can die now. Ning Fan did not know what happened in the end above the sea of blood. The moment he sank into the sea of blood, the words he heard were the words of the group of 3-eyed black monks who wanted to kill the barbaric ancestor. If this place was not an illusory realm, Ning Fan would certainly die after being devoured by the sea of blood. Fortunately, this place was just an illusory realm. Even after sinking into the sea of blood, Ning Fan only felt a sharp pain in his mind. His butterfly body did not collapse. However, it was not easy to struggle and fly out of the sea of blood. As soon as he sank into the sea of blood, he actually lost control of his body. That feeling was similar to the time when the tribulation sense entered his body and he could not control it. This sea of blood was formed by the blood of countless living beings in the wilderness. It contained the negative emotions left behind by countless living beings before they died. Outside the sea of blood, there seemed to be a heaven-shaking and earth-shattering battle. Perhaps it was a battle between the barbaric ancestor and the black monks. A day passed. The ripples of the battle gradually subsided. It was unknown who would emerge victorious between the group of black monks and the barbaric ancestor. 2 days passed. The sky above the wilderness began to resound with countless wails. 3 days passed. The wilderness fell into dead silence once again. 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, 100 years, 1,000 years, 10,000 years, Ning Fan was trapped in the sea of blood. It was difficult for him to move and he could not escape. Every day, he had to endure the torment brought by the sea of blood. Being trapped in the sea of blood, the only thing he could do was to study the grand formation under the sea of blood with the help of the word force, the immemorial dust-defying formation to improve his Tao of formations. It was only after 1,000,000 years that the sea of blood evaporated completely. Only then did Ning Fan finally break free from the blood sea grand formation. After 1,000,000 years of tempering, Ning Fan's willpower had become even more indomitable. For 1,000,000 years, Ning Fan only did one thing, and that was to study the immemorial dust-defying formation that the Lord of Tribulation Sense gave to the wilderness. The diagram of the grand formation was too profound. Even after studying it for 1,000,000 years and comprehending the word force, Ning Fan only managed to understand a small part of it. If it's someone else, they might not even be able to understand a small part of it. After 1,000,000 years, Ning Fan broke free from the shackles of the sea of blood and returned to the wilderness. Only then did he realize that the original 6 ancient barbarian statues were all broken. In the place where the ancient barbarian statues were broken, there was a new 2-headed barbarian statue. It was also full of cracks. The appearance of the new ancient barbarian statue was extremely similar to the 7th barbarian ancestor. After 1,000,000 years, the 42 regions of the wilderness had already taken shape. The group of black monks in the past had also disappeared without a trace. The Fan clan and barbarian cultivators no longer existed in the wilderness today. There were only a few barbarians who had no cultivation base at all. There were only barbarian beasts that were transformed from the barbarians. The barbarian bulls, barbarian fish and other living creatures of the wilderness could no longer be found. They had already gone extinct 1,000,000 years ago. On the day when I was slapped into the sea of blood, what exactly happened in the wilderness? Was it because of the incident on that day that the wilderness was divided into 42 regions? Was that why the barbarian ancestor and the Fan clan disappeared from the wilderness? Such a wilderness would probably become the battlefield of the divine race and the demon race after millions of years. I built the bridge and borrowed the illusory power of the true illusion river to enter the ancient wilderness 3 times. If it wasn't for that, it would be impossible for me to know these secrets of the ancient wilderness. Ning Fan raised his head and looked at the sky. There was a faint layer of purple-golden clouds in the sky which contained the will of immortal sovereign Zido. The exit to get out of the illusory realm was within this purple-golden cloud. Ning Fan spread his butterfly wings and flew towards the purple-golden cloud. As soon as he got close to it, the cloud immediately disappeared and he appeared outside several barbarian regions. Following the trace of the cloud's chi, Ning Fan flew across several barbarian regions and found the purple-golden cloud again. Before it could even get close to the clouds disappeared once again without a trace. Ning Fan's eyes turned solemn. He unsealed the power of the yin-yang rain technique and activated the heaven-peering rain technique to its maximum. His spirit sense locked onto the cloud. His barbarian butterfly body shone with golden rays. He displayed the golden light technique and dashed towards the cloud. His traveling light was not slow, but the cloud was moving faster. No matter how he chased after it, he could not get close to it. Even if he used the heaven sealing technique, he could not stop the cloud. Since he could not get close to the cloud, he could not use the exit to get out of the illusory realm. That cloud contains immortal sovereign Zido's will. Is that will trying to trap me in his mind and not allow me to leave? That will doesn't allow me to build the bridge. That will doesn't allow me to cross the true path. That will isn't targeting me alone. It's targeting the millions of Tao Guardian cultivators. The exit is obviously in the cloud, but it is deliberately avoiding me. It's avoiding me as fast as I chase after it. If I just keep chasing after it, I'm afraid I will never be able to catch up to it. Ning Fan's eyes flickered and he had a hint of enlightenment. On the path of cultivation, it would be hard for one to attain the great Tao if one only practices diligently. However, if one pursues the great Tao blindly, one will forever be left behind. Just chasing after it will never be enough. If there are no other exits in this illusory realm other than the exit of the cloud, then I will create an exit that belongs to me. So what? Well, the key to getting out of this illusory realm lies in will. I want to tear an exit out of this illusory realm with my will. I want to leave this illusory realm. I want to build the bridge. I want to cross the true path. Ning Fan no longer chased after the cloud. His butterfly wings kept flapping, stirring up fierce astral winds that tore the sky apart. Within the astral winds, Ning Fan's will to get out of the illusory realm no matter what. 10 years, 100 years, 1,000 years. Ning Fan repeated the action of tearing the vast sky apart. His obsession and will fused with the sky, and gradually he tore a hole in the sky. The sky was also protected by a will. However, that will was being torn apart bit by Ning Fan. I see. Ning Fan seemed to have understood something. He flapped his butterfly wings and flew out of the illusory realm. In front of the true illusion river, he opened his eyes again. His eyes were filled with determination as he stared at the reverse flow of the river. The will of the true illusion river was once again disrupted by him. He moved at lightning speed, stripping away all the remaining Tao illusions in the stone bridge, turning the Tao illusions into real bridges. However, he had yet to step on the bridge. He had yet to start crossing the true path. After going through 3 illusory realms, Ning Fan's understanding of will continued to deepen. Gradually, he saw some clues about the true illusion river. The bridge that he created was not much different from an ordinary real bridge. However, there was a huge difference in the internal structure. All of the 108,000 real bridges on the true illusion river contained the will of the immortal sovereign. However, the bridge that Ning Fan created lacked that will. I have yet to fuse my will into the bridge. Thus, this bridge is still not considered as a real bridge. In the first illusion, I turned into a barbaric bull and walked with a mountain on my back. In the second illusion, I turned into a barbaric fish and swallowed the sea and went against fate. In the third illusion, I turned into a barbaric butterfly and tore apart the sky. All of the 3 illusory realms were created to help me understand the meaning of will. The will that the immortal sovereign left behind in the true illusion river seemed to be trying to stop the future generations from building the bridge. However, it was actually to let the future generations understand the importance of will. The ancestral dragon Zhu Li had also tried to build the bridge. Other than me, there were more than 40,000 outstanding people who tried to build the bridge. However, all of them failed without exception. I don't believe that those people failed because they couldn't break through the illusory realms and break the will of the true illusion river. I would rather believe that they couldn't fuse their will into the real bridge. This might be the reason why they failed in building the bridge. Ning Fan walked towards the bridge step by step. He placed his palm on the bluestone pier at the head of the bridge. His eyes suddenly turned as crazy as a devil. With my order, from today onwards, this bridge will be a real bridge. Without any unnecessary action, a will that was as firm as the mountain, as deep as the sea and as vast as the sky was immediately added to the bridge. That was the will that Ning Fan wanted to create the bridge no matter what. Only with this will, the bridge could be considered as a real bridge. This young man has actually built a real bridge. At the bottom of the true illusion river, the river demon was shocked. Just as Ning Fan expected, most of the people who failed to build the bridge failed in the test of will. Du Zhen was not to let the cultivators search for the true Tao but to train their will. If one's will was higher than the heavens, if you want the heavens to be real, then it will be real. If you want it to be illusory, then it will be illusory. True and illusory only existed in a single thought. It was meaningless to pursue the true Tao. Just by pursuing it, one would never obtain the true answer. It was just like the meaningless action of chasing after the clouds. Unfortunately, there were very few cultivators in the future who cultivated will. Most of them were blindly pursuing the true Tao that was hard to find. I want to. Du Zhen. Ning Fan took a step on the true illusion river. As soon as he took that step, he could clearly feel the will of the entire true illusion river pressing down on him, making it difficult for him to move an inch. Ning Fan gritted his teeth. His eyes were wide open and green veins popped on his forehead. Under the heavy pressure of that will, even his blood could not flow. His body was completely defenseless against that powerful will. However, his will would never be suppressed by that will. I want to... Duzhen. Duzhen had become Ning Fan's obsession. The stronger one's obsession was, the stronger one's will would be. Ning Fan's face gradually turned pale. His whole body was drenched in sweat, but he still struggled to take the second step, the third step, the fourth step. Every time he took a step forward, his aura force would grow stronger and his cultivation base would increase by a bit. Every time he took a step forward, his will would grow stronger by a bit. When he took the last step and stepped on the northern bank of the True Illusion River, a wave of aura force that could shake heaven and earth immediately spread out from his body, causing the water of the True Illusion River to splash on the shore. At this moment, Ning Fan successfully crossed the True Illusion Bridge and his cultivation base broke through to the early True Illusion realm. At this moment, Ning Fan was no longer a life immortal realm cultivator but a true immortal realm cultivator. Just breaking through from the peak ghost profound realm to the early Duzhen realm was already a qualitative difference. Ning Fan could feel that after successfully crossing the True Illusion River, his magic power was already 5 times stronger than before. In the past, Ning Fan's magic power was already comparable to a peak early Duzhen realm cultivator. Now that he had successfully crossed the True Illusion River, there were not many cultivators who could surpass his magic power in the mid-Duzhen realm. Is this the power of the early Duzhen realm? Ning Fan's eyes flashed. He clenched his fists and turned to look at the bridge with a satisfied smile. Stepping on the northern bank, Ning Fan continued to look towards the north. There was another True Illusion River in the north. It was the second True Illusion River within the Heavenly Tao. After crossing this river, one would become a mid-Duzhen realm cultivator. Ning Fan's gaze penetrated through the second True Illusion River and easily found the true bridge of Tao Wielder on it. After building the first bridge, all the other True Illusion Rivers had a bridge. The bridge has been completed. In the future, I won't have to go through so much trouble to break through the other realms of the True Illusion realm. As long as I have enough magic power, I can cross the river. I have quite a lot of Tao fruits with me. If I refine all of them, my magic power would probably be enough to break through the bottleneck of the mid-Duzhen realm. However, I will need at least 10 years to refine these Tao fruits. It seems like I can only leave the inner part of the heavenly Tao first, consume the Tao fruits and enter secluded cultivation before breaking through the bottleneck of the mid-Duzhen realm. Ning Fan shook his head slightly and pointed his finger forward. Immediately, a pitch-black crack appeared in the air. It was the path to leave the inner part of the heavenly Tao. Just as he was about to leave, an old man with purple scales all over his body suddenly flew out from the first True Illusion River. He smiled and stopped Ning Fan from leaving. "Little friend, you don't have to leave in such a hurry. I find you very pleasing to the eye and I want to give you a gift. I wonder if you dare to accept it? Who are you?" Ning Fan was not in a hurry to ask what the gift was. The old man was slightly surprised. Then he smiled and said with a profound meaning, "This old man is the river demon of the True Illusion River. I was given the order of Immortal Emperor Zido to guard the 4 True Illusion Rivers of the illusionary world." True Mirage River's river demon? Illusionary world? Ning Fan's eyes flickered, but he did not ask any further. "Little friend, don't you want to know what this old man gave you as a present?" The river demon asked with a smile. Junior is more curious about the illusory world that Senior mentioned. "What does Senior mean?" Ning Fan replied with an expressionless face. He had always maintained a certain degree of wariness toward strangers. This was his habit. With his eyesight, he could naturally tell that Elder Hiyao was an expert on par with a shedding void middle stage expert. Now that he had succeeded in crossing True Realm and cultivated the second Yin-Yang, War Yin-Yang, his war god art would naturally break through to the 4th transformation. At this moment, even if he were to fight Elder Hiyao head-on, he might not necessarily lose, so he was not afraid of Elder Hiyao plotting against him. "I can't tell you what the illusory world is. You need to figure it out yourself. Since you can make the true illusory river flow in reverse several times, I believe that one day, you will understand the meaning of these 3 words. Of course, Elder He Yao could see the wariness in Ning Fan's eyes. However, he did not mind it at all. With a wave of his palm, he took out a purple golden pearl from the true illusory river. That pearl was the crystallization of Elder He Yao's willpower that solidified the river water. He had been guarding the true illusory river for countless years, but he only managed to condense this one pearl in the end. Little friend, you seem to have quite a number of Dao fruits with you. If I use the willpower in this pearl to help you refine the Dao fruits, I believe that your speed of refining the Dao fruits will increase by more than 1,000 times. If you trust me, you can accept my kind offer and borrow the willpower of this pearl to speed up the process of refining the Dao fruits, cross the second river and break through to the mid-true realm. Of course, if you don't trust me, you can leave. I won't stop you. Elder He Yao looked at Ning Fan with a smile, waiting for his reply quietly. Ning Fan's expression became more and more solemn as he stared at the willpower pearl. With his cultivation base, he had spent at least hundreds of millions of years of hard work to solidify and crystallize his illusory willpower. This willpower pearl contained a huge amount of willpower. Not only was it enough for Ning Fan to speed up the process of refining all the Dao fruits in his possession, but it could also slightly refine some of the dark time fruits. Dao fruits were fine, but dark time fruits were extremely difficult to refine. Ning Fan's speed of absorbing the dark time fruits was too slow. If he has the help of this willpower pearl, he might be able to use this opportunity to refine 1 or 2 dark time fruits. There weren't many opportunities to use the willpower pearl to speed up the refinement process. Senior, are you really willing to use the power of this pearl to help me refine the Dao fruits? Of course, I'm willing to give you this pearl. It just depends on whether you dare to accept my kind offer or not. Even though using this willpower pearl to refine heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures is extremely fast, the pressure of the willpower is also extremely heavy. Do you dare to use this pearl? Why not? Ning Fan sat cross-legged in front of Elder He and took out a few life immortal realm Dao fruits from his storage pouch. Once Elder He activated the willpower of the pearl, he would begin to refine the Dao fruits. Ning Fan was not afraid that Elder He would harm him. With his various means, he was not afraid of Elder He at all if he wanted to protect himself. Moreover, from the beginning to the end, he did not sense any trace of hostility from Elder He. Since Elder He had taken the initiative to express his goodwill, he would also seize the opportunity. Are you ready? Elder He's expression gradually turned serious and asked with a solemn look. Chapter 875. Are you ready? He Yao gradually revealed a serious expression and asked with a dignified look. Ning Fan nodded his head. His eyes turned solemn. At this moment his aura force was completely restrained. A will appeared in his eyes. He was prepared to fight against the will of the pearl. That will was very strong, close to obsession. A hint of admiration appeared in the old man's eyes as he waved his hand to summon the willpower pearl and formed a hand seal. That was the willpower pearl that he had spent hundreds of millions of years to condense. However, he gave it to Ning Fan without any hesitation because he found Ning Fan extremely pleasing to the eye. The jewel spun in midair, and when it reached the 10th round, it suddenly erupted like a volcano, bursting forth with willpower that shook the heavens and the earth. The entire interior of the heavenly Tao trembled violently because of that powerful will. Under the control of the old man, that will heavily pressed down on Ning Fan's body. All of a sudden, Ning Fan felt as if he was being crushed by countless mountains, nearly suffocating him. Fortunately, this will did not have any malicious intent. It only had good intentions. It did not make Ning Fan's blood flow sluggish. Instead, it increased the speed of his blood flow by more than 1,000 times. Ning Fan's skin turned red and began to emit steam. His body was under a heavy load, but his eyes were still as clear as water. It was only at this moment that Ning Fan was convinced that the old river demon really had a trace of goodwill towards him. Thus, the wariness in his eyes when he looked at the old river demon was slightly reduced. Ning Fan opened his mouth and directly swallowed the few life-immortal Dao fruits on his knees into his stomach to refine them. Then, he took out the other Dao fruits and refined them. He took a lot of life-immortal fruits from the godly void pavilion, and after leaving a lot for the little demon girl, he still had close to 700. Even with the help of the yin-yang locket, it would still take him 1 to 2 years to fully absorb 700 life-immortal Dao fruits. Now, under the enhancement of the will of the pearl, the speed of his blood flow had increased by 1,000 times. In just a day, he had refined all of the life-immortal Dao fruits. Unfortunately, perhaps it was because he had consumed too many life-immortal Dao fruits. The longer he consumed them, the weaker the medicinal effect of the life-immortal Dao fruits became. When he swallowed the last life-immortal Dao fruit, the medicinal effect was only 1/10 of the original. In the 4 heavens, there were very few cultivators like Ning Fan who ate the life-immortal Dao fruit until its medicinal effect was almost gone, even though Ning Fan was a 3 orifices ancient god realm expert and had 8 times the refinement efficiency compared to ordinary people. His magic power only increased by 30% after devouring all of the life-immortal Dao fruits. Ning Fan had given the little demoness 10 truth purification fruits, so he still had 48 of them left. As for the void-shedding Dao fruits, Ning Fan had given the little demoness 2 and 1 to Kei Shensi. Thus, he still had 9 of them. Next, Ning Fan spent another 2 days consuming all of the truth-crossing Dao fruits and shedding space Dao fruits. Only then did he slightly touch the bottleneck of the mid-truth crossing realm. If the Dao fruits he swallowed this time were to be converted into Dao crystals, then the price would definitely be over 1 trillion. Even the cultivators of the ancient times couldn't take it lightly. A Dao fruit that was worth 1 trillion Dao crystals only allowed him to touch the bottleneck of the mid-true crossing realm. This medicinal effect was really unworthy of its price. Ning Fan did not dare to compliment it. There were very few cultivators in the Duzhen realm who could devour life-immortal Dao fruits like Ning Fan. Naturally, there weren't many powers that possessed the ability to solely utilize Dao fruits and medicinal pills to nurture true immortal realm experts. That was simply a waste of resources. To true immortals, Dao fruits and medicinal pills were mainly used to break through small bottlenecks. Improving their cultivation base was secondary. The main way for true immortals to improve their cultivation base was not to consume external objects but to meditate and absorb the Dao power and spiritual qi of heaven and earth. Then, they would meditate and comprehend the Dao of heaven and earth to improve their Dao comprehension. The process would certainly require thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of years of arduous cultivation. It was very time-consuming. Therefore, there might be cultivators with bone ages of hundreds of thousands of years among the Duzhen realm cultivators. However, there were rarely any cultivators with bone ages below 1,000,000 years among the void-shedding space cultivators. The medicinal effect of the Dao fruit is a little weak for a true immortal. Ning Fan sighed softly. Then, he raised his head and looked at Old He and the willpower pearl. For 3 consecutive days, Old He had been controlling the willpower pearl to help Ning Fan refine the heavenly ingredients and earthly treasures. Now, he was already showing signs of fatigue. Obviously, helping Ning Fan had consumed a lot of his energy. The size of the willpower pearl was only 3/4 of its original size. It had already used up 1/4 of its power. How is it? You have already refined so many Dao fruits. How confident are you in breaking through the bottleneck of the mid-true crossing realm? Oldie laughed and asked. Less than 50%? It's a little low. 50% is still low? As expected of a cultivator who could build a true bridge. You really have the guts to say that? Do you still have more Dao fruits? If there are more, I will continue to help you refine them. I might as well use up all the power of this pearl. After all, this pearl was refined by me when I was guarding the river out of boredom. It's not very useful to me, but it will be very useful to you. Old He said straightforwardly. I have already used up all the Dao fruits I have. However, I still have other things that are much stronger than the previous Dao fruits. I just want to borrow the willpower of this pearl to refine them. As soon as he finished speaking, Ning Fan formed a special hand seal. A dark light flashed in his dantian and a dark time fruit flew out. It's actually the dark time fruit that only belongs to the dark primordial sect. This item is extremely rare in the illusionary world. I can't believe you actually have one. Old He's eyes immediately widened. When he looked at Ning Fan again, his expression turned serious. Dark primordial sect? Ning Fan was slightly surprised. Obviously, it was his first time hearing this name. Dark primordial sect is an immortal sect in the ancient immortal domain. It's not strange that you don't know about this sect. I didn't expect you to have a dark time fruit. It's not easy to refine it. The power of this willpower pearl of mine can only last for 10 days at most. I wonder if 10 days is enough for you to refine this dark time fruit. Let's give it a try first. Old He waved his hand. The willpower of the pearl increased in intensity and pressed down on Ning Fan. Ning Fan naturally would not waste the pressure of the willpower. Without saying anything, he immediately swallowed the dark time fruit back into his dantian and began to refine it. The process of refining the dark time fruit was obviously as difficult as what Old He had expected. Others would need at least 10,000 years to refine a dark time fruit. Although Ning Fan had extraordinary talent and the help of the willpower pearl, he only managed to refine 1/10 of the dark time fruit after 10 days. After 10 days, the power of the willpower pearl was exhausted. It turned into specks of light and dissipated. I initially thought that I could at least refine 1 or 2 dark time fruits this time. It seems like my expectation is a little too high. Ning Fan smiled bitterly. To an ordinary cultivator, a dark time fruit could increase their cultivation base by 400,000 years. To a 3 apertures ancient god like Ning Fan, a dark time fruit could increase his cultivation base by 3,200,000 years. 1/10 of the dark time fruit could also increase his cultivation base by 320,000 years. At this moment, Ning Fan had full confidence to break through the bottleneck of the mid-true crossing realm and cross the second bridge. He slowly rose to his feet and cupped his fists towards Old He to express his gratitude. Thank you. I will definitely repay Senior's help today in the future. Of course, he was thanking Old He for helping him refine the Dao fruit and dark time fruit. This old man doesn't care about your repayment. However, if one day you can see through the truth of the illusory world, this old man might really have a small matter that I need your help with. If that day really comes, little friend, please don't reject my request. He Yao said half-jokingly. Ning Fan did not understand what Old He meant by seeing through the truth of the illusory world. However, he remembered what Old He said. If he really sees through the truth of the illusory world one day, he would naturally come and look for Old He. He would listen to Old He's request and try his best to help him. Alright, quickly go to the True Crossing Bridge and break through to the Mid-True Crossing Realm in one go. This time, you have been staying inside the Heavenly Dao for quite a long time. I think you will leave this place soon. Don't waste your time crossing the bridge. Old He laughed heartily. After giving Ning Fan a deep look, his body flashed and he flew into the first true illusion river again. Ning Fan glanced at the direction of the first river and withdrew his gaze. Then he turned around and walked towards the second river. With a single step, he stepped onto the second bridge. At the moment he took the first step, there was still an inexhaustible will of the river that pressed down heavily on him. The will of the water of the second true illusion river was a few times stronger than that of the first true illusion river. However, the current Ning Fan's strength was also a few times stronger than before. Therefore, even though it was difficult for him to walk on the second bridge, he still walked forward slowly and steadily. Every time he took a step forward, Ning Fan's cultivation base would increase slightly. The moment he stepped onto the other shore, Ning Fan's cultivation base naturally broke through to the mid-true crossing realm. After attaining the mid-true crossing realm, the total amount of his magic power was already comparable to a late true crossing realm cultivator. In fact, it was more than a few times stronger than an ordinary late true crossing realm cultivator. Ning Fan exhaled a mouthful of turbid qi and raised his head to look at the surrounding heaven and earth. He saw that there were already spatial turbulences inside the heavenly Dao. Obviously, it was going to expel him from this place. It's time to go. Ning Fan cupped his fists at the first river. Then, he raised his hand and tore open a pitch-black passage in front of him. He stepped into it and left. Half a month had passed since Ning Fan entered the true crossing realm inside the Heavenly Tao. During this half a month, Lu Yen and Immortal Loli stayed in the Barbarian Valley, waiting for Ning Fan's return. Every day when Immortal Loli woke up, she would lose her memories of Lu Yen, which gave Lu Yen a headache. Fortunately, Ning Fan had already left behind a jade slip. In the jade slip, he recorded the memories of his life with Lu Yen and Immortal Loli. Every day, Lu Yen would let the Immortal Loli see these images once, to let the Immortal Loli understand that she was not an enemy. Lu Yen, why isn't father back yet? Xian Xian misses him. Immortal Loli jumped onto a tree like a monkey. She swayed her legs, chewed on a lightning pill and stared blankly at the sky. During the days when Ning Fan was not around, she would be in a daze every day and miss him. It's almost time. No matter if Senior succeeds in crossing the true crossing realm or not, he should be back after half a month. Lu Yen stayed under the tree, watching over Immortal Loli. She was afraid that Immortal Loli would slip out of the Barbarian Valley and meet with danger when Ning Fan was not around. Although she already knew that Immortal Loli's strength was comparable to a mid-shedding void old monster and she would not encounter too much danger in the wild wilderness, however, after living together for tens of years, she and Ning Fan and Immortal Loli now had a trace of familial bond between them. That feeling was very intoxicating and made Lu Yen feel a little reluctant to part with them. However, she also understood that this kind of familial bond was fake. There was no familial bond between her, Ning Fan and Immortal Loli. Rumbled at a muffled thunder suddenly exploded in the clear sky. Then, a few demon cultivators with ancient demon sacrificial tools arrived at the Barbarian Valley. There were a total of 3 demon cultivators. 2 of them were early True Crossing Realm demon cultivators of the True Dragon clan, while the other one was a mid-shedding void dragon demon. If Ning Fan was here, he would certainly recognize that this mid-shedding void dragon demon was one of the 4 poisonous dragon guards that he failed to kill that day. Commander Feng, this is the place indicated by the map. Our mission is to unseal the ancient formation here. There are people in this valley? The 2 early True Crossing Realm dragon demons were reporting something to the poisonous dragon guard. Suddenly, their expressions changed and they became silent. The poisonous dragon guard, who was addressed as Commander Feng, glanced at the Barbarian Valley below and said disapprovingly, "It's just 2 human cultivators with low cultivation bases. One of them is just a void fragmentation realm expert while the other one hasn't reached the harmonious spirit realm. There's nothing to be surprised about. The 2 of you, go down and kill them. We are following the old ancestors' secret order. No one is allowed to see what we are doing. Understood?" The eyes of the 2 True Crossing Realm experts immediately flashed with cold light. Their bodies flashed and they rushed down. Their killing intent was directly locked on Lu Yen and Immortal Loli. Not good. Xianxian run. Lu Yan's beautiful eyes were filled with shock. She leaped onto the tree and grabbed Immortal Loli's hand. She wanted to break a jade slip that Ning Fan gave her to escape. Even though her cultivation base was low and she could not see through the 3 dragon demons' exact cultivation bases, she could vaguely feel how terrifying they were. Even though she knew that Immortal Loli was strong, she did not know whether she was stronger or weaker compared to the 3 dragon demons. When she saw that they had already revealed their killing intent, she naturally wanted to escape with Immortal Loli. It was the life-saving jade slip that Ning Fan gave to Lu Yen before he left. It contained a trace of power that could pierce through the ground. As soon as she broke it, a ray of golden light shone from the jade slip. It wrapped around Lu Yen and Immortal Loli and disappeared in the vast sky. So fast. The eyes of the 2 True Crossing Realm dragon demons were filled with shock. They frantically spread their spirit sense. However, the 2 ladies were already nowhere to be seen. I didn't expect a mere void fragmentation realm junior to have such a powerful escape technique, Jade Slip. Could it be that she is the descendant of an immortal venerable of the human race? In that case, we have to kill her even more. It will be a great merit when we report this to our old ancestor. Commander Feng sneered and pointed his finger at the sky. Immediately, the shadow of a purple dragon appeared in the sky. Come up. This old man will bring the two of you to make a contribution. Commander Feng leaped onto the head of the purple dragon and carried the two true crossing realm dragon demons. He identified a direction and was about to chase after them. Suddenly, Commander Feng's expression changed. He did not know why the two ladies had returned to where they came from. The reason why they returned was because of Immortal Lowly. Lu Yen, why are we running away? Father won't be able to find us when he comes back. A few breaths ago, Immortal Lowly pouted and complained while being held by Lu Yen in the Golden Rainbow. She was not afraid of the three dragon demons. She wanted to stay in the Barbarian Valley and wait for her father to return home. Those three demon cultivators are very powerful. Senior had said that if we encounter any powerful cultivators, we can just break the jade slip and run away. Senior has left quite a lot of jade slips. After we get further away, I will activate the concealment jade slip and hide my body. It won't be difficult for us to escape from their pursuit. Lu Yen answered with a solemn expression. No, I won't run away. I want to go back and find my father. Immortal Lowly waved her fist and directly broke a hole in the golden light. Then, she stepped on the silver lightning and returned to the Barbarian Valley. Lu Yan's expression changed. She no longer had the time to activate the golden light to escape. She gritted her teeth and activated the golden light to return to where they came from, chasing after Immortal Lowly. Thus, the two ladies returned to the Barbarian Valley again. Immortal Lowly wanted to stay here and wait for Ning Fan while Lu Yen wanted to take Immortal Lowly away. Interesting. Your golden light technique is quite impressive. I was worried that the two of you would escape from my sensing range. I didn't expect that the two of you would actually come back to seek death. This time, I won't give the two of you a chance to escape. Commander Feng looked at Immortal Lowly and Lu Yen who were flying towards him and sneered. He suddenly raised his hand, pointed at the sky and said in a deep voice, Heavenly Demon Technique, Sky Mirror. As Commander Feng pointed his finger, the sky within 10,000 li of the Barbarian Valley seemed to have frozen and was completely sealed by the barrier. Lu Yen and Immortal Lowly's traveling lights seemed to have hit an invisible wall. With a bang, they were pushed back and could no longer move forward. Combine! Without giving the two ladies more time to react, Commander Feng put his palms together and activated his divine ability. Countless soil and rocks in the Barbarian Valley suddenly flew up to the sky and condensed into two giant palms made of soil and rocks. The giant palms were originally on both sides of the two ladies. As Commander Feng activated his divine ability, the palms immediately slapped towards the two ladies from two different directions. With Commander Feng's mid-shedding Void Realm cultivation base, both of his palms were enough to kill any cultivator in the Dujin realm. From Commander Feng's point of view, this technique was definitely enough to easily kill the two women. It would be as easy as blowing off dust. However, what he did not expect was that the moment the two giant palms came together, Immortal Lowly, who he did not pay any attention to, suddenly raised her fist and punched towards the left and right respectively, shattering the two giant palms at the same time. Her expression was very relaxed. Lu Yen, don't be afraid. This smelly old man is no match for me. However, it seems like it will be very difficult for me to kill him now. I want to stay here and wait for Daddy to come home. Although I can't defeat them, Daddy said that if I am bullied, I must fight back. Immortal Lowly punched again and the barrier of 10,000 li immediately shattered like a mirror. She tiptoed again and flew towards Commander Feng and the others under Lu Yan's astonished gaze. She raised her hand and a huge silver lightning diagram immediately appeared in the sky. Suddenly, a cold air surged out from the lightning diagram. The cold lightning power condensed into an ancient chariot that was half made of ice and the other half made of lightning power. The moment the chariot appeared, Commander Feng suddenly revealed a look of disbelief and his facial expression changed. He recognized the lightning diagram and the lightning chariot. He also sensed the powerful aura of immortal Lowly. This lady has concealed her cultivation base. She is actually a mid-shedding void realm cultivator. What I didn't expect was that she is actually a cultivator from the extreme Eastern Heaven Thunder Palace. What she is using is obviously the forbidden technique of the Extreme Thunder Palace. Dark Thunder Chariot. In the next moment, millions of cold thunder runes emerged from the chariot. At this moment, the spirit cannon on the chariot released an earth-shattering thunder cannon. A sense of imminent death immediately surged into the hearts of Commander Feng and the other two Dujin realm cultivators. Chapter 876. It was unstoppable and unstoppable. A dark thunder cannon shot through the sky, and countless silver lightning bolts condensed into snowflakes and shadows. Wherever the lightning swept past, the entire barbarian valley turned into a snow valley. Cold air seeped into the ground and froze the ground 3 feet deep. Commander Feng and the others looked pale. Even with Commander Feng's mid-shedding void cultivation base, he would most likely die if he was hit by the dark thunder. The two true dragon demons were in despair while Commander Feng showed a vicious expression. At the moment of certain death, Commander Feng did not dare to hold anything back. Without saying anything further, he took out a jade strip with dragon scales on it. His face revealed a pained expression, but he still firmly crushed the jade strip and coldly cried out. Dragon Worship Technique, 4 Directions Dragon Bone. This was a life-saving item given to him by old ancestor Poisonous Dragon. As soon as he crushed the jade slip, a 1,000,000 zhang long bone dragon head appeared in front of the dark thunder cannon. The dragon head opened its mouth and swallowed the dark thunder cannon. The dark mouth could swallow most shedding void magical attacks. It was a special defensive divine ability of the true dragon clan's Bone Dragon clan. It blocked it? Commander Feng heaved a sigh of relief, but his expression changed drastically in the next moment. The bone dragon head that swallowed the dark thunder cannon suddenly showed a painful expression. Lightning flashed on the dragon head, and the next moment, the entire dragon head was frozen into an ice sculpture. As the lightning flashed on the ice sculpture, the dragon head immediately shattered into countless ice shards and disappeared. The shattered lightning power continued to sweep towards Commander Feng and the others. Even though Commander Feng displayed the full strength of mid-shedding void, he was still sent flying by the shattered lightning power and vomited blood. The two crossing true dragon demons behind him were directly killed by the scattered lightning power. What level is the dark thunder chariot that this girl summoned? The power of the lightning cannon is so strong that even the defensive technique given by old ancestor can't defend against it completely. 8th level, at least 8th level. If it wasn't an 8th level chariot, how could it have such terrifying power? Commander Feng wiped the blood from the corner of his mouth and his expression changed drastically. He felt a trace of fear towards the ordinary-looking immortal Lowly. The Dark Thunder War Chariot was one of the forbidden arts of the extreme Eastern Sky Thunder Palace. The Dark Thunder War Chariot summoned had a total of 10 grades. Since the defensive Jade Strip was unable to defend against it, it was at least a Grade 8 War Chariot. There were less than 100 Grade 8 War Chariots in the entire Extreme Thunder Palace. Few void-shedding realm cultivators could defend against a full-powered attack. The silver-haired little Lolita in front of him had an 8th grade war chariot, so her status in the Supreme Thunder Palace was naturally not low. With Commander Feng's shedding void middle stage cultivation, it was as difficult as ascending to the heavens to block the attack of a Class 8 war chariot. If they continued to fight, they would most likely die. So painful. Immortal Loli coughed a few times. Her face was filled with pain, and there was a trace of blood at the corner of her mouth. However, she wiped it off casually. As her lightning physique continued to evolve, the immortal Loli lost more and more of her memories, but her control over her lightning power continued to increase. In the past, she couldn't use the Dark Thunder Chariot, but now she could. However, as she was at the critical stage of the evolution of her lightning physique, using this forbidden technique would put a huge burden on her body, which could easily cause a backlash. That trace of blood was the best proof that she had suffered from the backlash of the forbidden technique. The pain of the backlash made her petite body feel as if it was being torn apart. Xian Xian, are you all right? Lu Yan's beautiful eyes were filled with shock and worry. She was shocked by the terrifying power of the Dark Thunder Chariot and worried about the backlash that immortal Loli had suffered. Lu Yan, don't worry. I'm fine. Father said that we must fight back when we are bullied. These evil dragons want to kill us, so we have to fight back. We have to slay them. Humph. Even though I can't defeat these evil dragons, as long as I summon my small chariot, I can still kill them. I'm very powerful. I won't leave. I won't run away. I want to wait here for Father to come back. If the evil dragons hit me, I will kill them. Immortal Loli's clear eyes were filled with stubbornness. The more she lost her memories, the more she relied on Ning Fan. Even though the backlash of the forbidden technique was great, she was not afraid of it. She wanted to eliminate the enemies and wait for Ning Fan's return in this barbarian valley. Unseal, 9th grade lightning chariot. Immortal Loli's expression became more painful. She gritted her teeth and endured the pain. She performed a small hand seal and lightning flashed wildly on the chariot. The might of the lightning increased and the number of talisman marks increased. Commander Feng's eyeballs almost fell to the ground. He did not expect that Immortal Loli's Dark Thunder Chariot was not an 8th grade chariot but a 9th grade one. If a 9th grade chariot uses its full power, most of the Thought Fragmentation Realm cultivators would be killed in a single strike. Only those late Thought Fragmentation Realm and Peak Thought Fragmentation Realm cultivators could withstand the destructive power of the lightning cannon of the chariot. Unfortunately, Commander Feng was not a late Thought Fragmentation Realm cultivator nor a Peak Thought Fragmentation Realm cultivator. He was just a mid-shedding void cultivator. The lightning cannon of the 9th grade chariot was powerful enough to pierce through heaven and earth. There was no place for him to hide in this world. I'll die. I'll die. I'll die. Do I have no choice but to fight? Commander Feng's soul trembled violently. He had almost lost all hope. In desperation, Commander Feng pointed a finger at the center of his brows. Immediately, an illusory arrow shadow floated there. However, at this moment, a pitch-black crack was torn open between heaven and earth. A white-robed young man walked out from it. He did not seem to have done anything, but the arrow shadow on Commander Feng's glabella was forced back into his glabella. The white-robed young man glanced at Commander Feng with a solemn expression. That arrow shadow gave him a strong sense of danger. He slowly walked towards Immortal Loli and Lu Yan. Looking at the devastated barbaric bones, his eyes revealed a rare hint of heartache. He wiped the trace of blood from the corner of Immortal Loli's mouth. Xian Xian, you can stop now. You will suffer an irreversible backlash if you use the 9th grade chariot forcefully. Keep the chariot. Yes, Senior. Senior, you're back. Lu Yan's beautiful eyes flashed with joy when she saw the white-robed young man return. Father, you've disappeared for half a month. Xian missed you so much. Immortal Loli leaped into the white-robed young man's arms like a monkey. Her small face kept rubbing against his face while smiling sweetly. How could she still care about using the Dark Thunder Chariot to kill Commander Feng? That white-robed young man was none other than Ning Fan, who had just returned from Duzhen. Ning Fan scanned the bodies of the two ladies with his spirit sense. When he saw that Lu Yan was unscathed, he felt slightly relieved. However, when he saw that Immortal Loli's body was already injured by the backlash, his expression immediately darkened. When he looked at Commander Feng again, his eyes were filled with cold light. Xian Xian has always been the most obedient to me. I've told her before that she is not allowed to display her abilities and attack anyone unless she encounters an enemy. If it wasn't because this demon wanted to kill her, she wouldn't have risked the backlash by using the forbidden technique of the Extreme Lightning Palace. There's still the residual chi of the demonic technique in the air. Did this demon try to kill Xian Xian and Lu Yan just now? The arrow shadow on this demon's glabella is very dangerous. If I came back a little later, Xian Xian would have suffered a small loss even if she has the Dark Thunder Chariot of the Extreme Lightning Palace. Speaking of which, this demon looks a little familiar. Isn't he the poisonous dragon guard who chased after me in the past? Ning Fan's eyes were as cold as ice that would not melt for 3 winters. It made Commander Feng's heart tremble for no reason. He had heard Immortal Lowly addressing Ning Fan as father. In his mind, Immortal Lowly was already very abnormal. She could even summon a 9th-grade lightning chariot. Her father was probably even more abnormal. Therefore, he was somewhat afraid of Ning Fan unknowingly. However, in the blink of an eye, Commander Feng's expression relaxed and revealed a look of disbelief. Under Ning Fan's order, Immortal Lowly kept her chariot obediently, acting as if she was completely obedient to Ning Fan. As for Ning Fan, who was addressed as father by Immortal Lowly, because he had just broken through to the next realm, his body was still emitting the mid-Dujin Qi. He was actually just a junior of the Dujin realm. That scared me. It turns out that this girl's father is just a junior of the Dujin realm. However, I didn't expect that girl to keep her chariot after summoning the 9th-grade lightning chariot. If she activates the lightning cannon of the chariot, killing me would be as easy as flipping her palm. Among the 3 of them, the silver-haired girl is the one who shouldn't be trifled with. Although I don't know why she kept her chariot, it's a good opportunity for me to escape from this place. I received the secret order from the old ancestor to come to this barbarian valley to unlock the ancient formation. However, my whereabouts were seen by these 3 people. If I had the confidence, I would certainly kill these 3 people. Unfortunately, the lightning chariot of that silver-haired girl is too terrifying. Forget it. I'll return to the north first and inform the old ancestor about this matter. He will send someone else to kill these 3 people. Commander Feng glared at Ning Fan and the others. Suddenly, 9 layers of purple gale swirled around his body and he fled towards the north. Before he fled, he flicked his finger and casted the demonic technique of drawing the sky into a mirror again. He set up a barrier around the entire barbarian valley, trying to trap Ning Fan and the others. The barrier... Green light flashed in Ning Fan's eyes. In his eyes, the powerful barrier that imprisoned the barbarian valley immediately exposed all the void formation cores. Father, that evil dragon wanted to kill Xian Xian and Lu Yen just now. Quickly go and catch it to help Xian Xian vent her anger. Immortal Lowly hugged Ning Fan's neck and said coquettishly. In her chaotic memories, Ning Fan was her father who was omnipotent. It was as easy as flipping his palm for him to kill a void-shedding evil dragon. Alright. You guys stay in the barbarian valley obediently and wait for me. I'm going to chase after that evil dragon. Ning Fan put Immortal Lowly down and suddenly raised his hand. He activated the secret word of force to its maximum. His aura force spread out like a mountain and he pressed his 5 fingers against heaven and earth. Even though this barrier was set up by a mid-void-shedding old monster, it was as vulnerable as a clay chicken or a pottery dog to Ning Fan, who had broken through to the mid-true crossing realm and mastered the secret word of force. Rumbled as Ning Fan pressed his hand, the barrier that imprisoned 10,000 li immediately broke into pieces like glass and dissipated, producing continuous rumbling sounds. Ning Fan lifted his feet and stepped on the sky. The 3 blood in his body boiled and his body immediately turned into a golden rainbow, chasing after Commander Feng. Now that he had broken through to the mid-true crossing realm, his cultivation base had improved tremendously. Even if he did not summon his ghost face, he could still slightly control the golden rainbow. In the past, he did not have the confidence to fight a mid-void-shedding old monster. Today, however, he had the confidence to do so. Ning Fan was not a heartless person in the first place. He had been Lu Yen and Immortal Lowly's family for 50 years. Even though they did not have any romantic feelings, there was a kind of warmth between them that was as clear as tea and as mellow as wine. The poisonous dragon guards were Ning Fan's enemies in the first place. Now that Commander Feng had the intention to attack the 2 ladies, Ning Fan would certainly not let him go. You can't escape. Commander Feng, who was fleeing in the form of a demonic wind, suddenly heard Ning Fan's voice. His expression immediately changed. Before he could react, a ray of golden light flashed in front of him. The figure of a young man in white robes appeared out of nowhere. It was Ning Fan. As soon as Ning Fan appeared, he immediately threw a punch at Commander Feng. His essence chi spread out in all directions, causing heaven and earth to tremble. Commander Feng had no choice but to stop his movement light and block the incoming fist light. Even though he was not injured, his palm felt numb from the impact of the fist light. His face darkened. What a terrifying speed! This young man's cultivation base is just at the mid-true crossing realm, but he actually managed to catch up to me easily with that strange movement light. Besides, he is clearly just at the mid-true crossing realm, but the force of his fist is so terrifying. Even among the late true crossing realm experts, there might not be many who can withstand a single punch from him. However, it's a pity that he actually chased after me alone. He did not bring that silver-haired girl with him. If he's alone, I'm not afraid. Die! Commander Feng waved his hand and summoned a bone fragment of a demon dragon. As soon as the bone fragment came into contact with sunlight, it immediately turned into a bone dragon with 2 wings and swooped towards Ning Fan. An illusion technique, huh? Ning Fan neither dodged nor evaded the attack. Instead, he directly used an illusion technique to reflect the attack. With his current cultivation base, it was not difficult for him to reflect the illusion technique of a mid-void shedding realm old monster. However, the bone dragon with 2 wings that was swooping towards Ning Fan suddenly stopped moving. At the next moment, its body shattered into pieces and disappeared. Behind Commander Feng, hundreds of bone dragons with 2 wings suddenly appeared. All of them opened their mouths at the same time and breathed out scorching dragon breath at Commander Feng. What? Why did my illusion bone dragons devour me instead? Commander Feng's expression changed greatly. Without saying a word, he directly leaped backwards. At the same time, he formed hand seals to dispel the illusion technique. Unfortunately, his movements were still a little too slow and he was still burned by the dragon breath. Those injuries were not serious, but they made Commander Feng's expression turn extremely ugly. At first, he thought that as a dignified mid-void shedding realm old monster, he could easily eliminate the junior Duzhen in front of him with just a simple illusion technique. Unexpectedly, the illusion technique that he was so proud of was actually easily reflected by that junior Duzhen. Who are you? Tell me your name. Since you're able to reflect my illusion technique, it's impossible for you to be a nobody in the desolate world. Commander Feng seemed to be asking Ning Fan a question, but his hands were hidden in his long sleeves and he was secretly forming hand seals. Ning Fan was not that bored to the point of reporting his name. He had already seen through Commander Feng's trick. He waved his hand and wiped it across his face, directly summoning Ghost Face. His black hair turned silver. Do you really not know who I am? Bang. Ning Fan casually threw a punch at the sky on the right side of his body. That part of the sky immediately cracked and thousands of illusory young dragons fell from it. When he pressed his 5 fingers, those young dragons immediately shrieked miserably and turned into illusory light before disappearing. These young dragons were all illusionary transformations. As for void-shedding realm illusion techniques, they were useless against Ning Fan now. Silver hair with ghost face. So it's you. As soon as Commander Feng saw Ning Fan summon Ghost Face, his eyes were filled with shock. Then his eyes flashed with monstrous killing intent. The silver-haired cultivator with the ghost face was the person whom old ancestor Poisonous Dragon had placed a bounty on his head. He was the person who single-handedly annihilated 68 poisonous dragon guards, destroyed the 7-colored arrow spirit, and seized the true dragon ancestral bow. After the initial shock, Commander Feng revealed a disdainful smile. I didn't expect that the person whom Old Ancestor regards as a great threat is actually just a junior at the mid-Duzhen realm. As long as I can kill you, it's worth it even if I have to pay a price. You seem to have a strong resistance against illusion techniques. Alright then, I'll use some abilities other than illusion techniques to deal with you. Ancient demon sacrificial tools appear. Commander Feng raised his hand and summoned hundreds of rays of golden light. Every single one of them was an ancient demon sacrificial tool. Countless sacrificial tools floated in the air and immediately linked together to form an ancient killing formation. Ning Fan took a glance at the killing formation and immediately recognized it. It vaguely resembled the peerless, ferocious formation that the boorish ancestor used to sacrifice the blood of the desolate lands, the immemorial dust-defying formation. However, the power of this formation was naturally far inferior to the immemorial dust-defying formation. The latter was enough to sacrifice the entire desolate lands, while this formation could only imprison Void Realm cultivators at most. In the third illusion of the Dujin illusion, Ning Fan had been trapped in the immemorial dust-defying formation for 1 million years. He had also studied the formation for 1 million years. He could not see through the real immemorial dust-defying formation. However, this weak formation that imitated the immemorial dust-defying formation was nothing to him. This formation is useless against me. Rain Yin Yang unseal. Battle Yin Yang, unseal. After unsealing 2 great Yin Yang, Ning Fan's aura force immediately approached the early Void Realm. He lifted his foot and stepped on the weakest part of the formation diagram with an aura force that could flatten mountains and rivers. With just a single step, hundreds of ancient demon sacrificial tools were shattered into dust. As for the ferocious formation that Commander Feng laid down, it was already destroyed by Ning Fan's foot before it could display its power. How is this possible? The dust-punishing formation that was passed down by the old ancestor was actually destroyed by this kid with just a single step. What kind of secret technique did he use? He is clearly just a mid-Dujin cultivator, but his cultivation base suddenly rose to a level that is close to the Void Realm. At this moment, Commander Feng actually sensed a hint of danger from Ning Fan. If he still looked down on Ning Fan before this, he absolutely did not dare to look down on Ning Fan anymore at this moment. Sure enough, I still have to use the arrow spirit that was given by the old ancestor to kill this kid. No, that arrow spirit is the key to unsealing the ancient formation. If I use it, the old ancestor will certainly blame me. Speaking of which, I thought that I would be killed by the 9th grade war chariot just now. I had tried to activate the arrow spirit to fight with my life, but it was forced back by this kid with a strange method. How did he do it? Commander Feng's thoughts raced. In the end, he shook his head and gave up on using the arrow spirit. Although Ning Fan also gave him a sense of danger, it was far less terrifying than the 9th grade war chariot. I'll just use that thing to deal with this kid. Commander Feng suddenly made up his mind. He pressed his right hand on his left shoulder and sneered. Then he directly tore off his left arm, causing blood to splatter across the sky. With the price of losing my arm forever, I beg the ancient demonic dragon to manifest. Bang! Commander Feng pressed his right hand and his left arm immediately shattered into a mist of blood. The mist spread across the sky and formed an ancient blood door. Illusory door open. The blood door opened along with Commander Feng's shout. Immediately, a demonic dragon that was comparable to an ancient monster flew out from the blood door. The dragon breath that it breathed was enough to burn the heavens. It was so powerful that it could easily kill any true immortal cultivator. Countless volcanoes that had been dormant for many years erupted at this moment to welcome the appearance of the demonic dragon. The desolate wasteland seemed to have turned into a world of fire. Oh, it's half real and half illusory. That's a rare illusion technique. I can't even reflect it. Ning Fan's eyes turned solemn. With his eyesight, he could naturally see that the ancient demonic dragon summoned by Commander Feng was an illusion technique. The eruption of the volcanoes was an illusion. Commander Feng destroying his own arm was an illusion. Everything that Ning Fan saw was an illusion. However, the blood door that Commander Feng summoned was real. With Commander Feng's cultivation base, it was naturally impossible for him to truly summon a 10,000 ancient realm demonic dragon. This demonic dragon was fake. It could not kill Ning Fan, nor could it be killed by him. However, even if it was fake, the ancient demonic dragon still had a defense that was comparable to the illusory techniques of the ancient cultivators. Ordinary illusory techniques could not destroy this illusory dragon. Besides, with Ning Fan's cultivation base, he also could not reflect this illusion technique. The demonic dragon was not the key to this technique. The blood door was the key. Ning Fan could sense the breathing of a living being coming from the blood door. It was extremely faint, but it was real. At the moment when the blood door appeared, Ning Fan's sea of consciousness turned blood red bit by bit. What I want to kill isn't the demonic dragon but the blood door. This blood door can't be destroyed with ordinary methods. The only thing that can destroy it is an illusion technique. Just as well, I can use this blood door to test my newly learned illusion technique. No matter how the ancient demonic dragon kept attacking him, Ning Fan did not bother to defend himself at all. He believed that this dragon was an illusion and he would not be harmed at all. His eyes were fixated on the blood door. He took a step forward and activated the Tao elephant that demonized the Dark Night. As soon as he took a step forward, a trace of extreme darkness immediately appeared in the sky where his feet landed. That darkness eroded the wild, desolate fire world bit by bit. Eventually, the wild, desolate fire world in front of Commander Feng completely turned into night. But it was not just night. It was even darker than night. Commander Feng's vision seemed to have lost all light. His 5 senses and spirit sense were being deprived by the extreme darkness bit by bit. He began to lose sight of the blood door that he had summoned and the demonic dragon that he had transformed into. The only thing he could see was Ning Fan, who was walking towards him step by step in the darkness. At this moment, Ning Fan, who was dressed in white robes and had silver hair, looked very eye-catching in the darkness. Every time Ning Fan took a step forward, the darkness that was eroding Commander Feng's body would become denser. Every step he took contained the will of darkening heaven and earth. To his horror, Commander Feng realized that he had fallen into Ning Fan's illusion technique. Moreover, with his mid-shedding void realm cultivation base, he could not break this illusion technique. Ning Fan walked towards him step by step, running in the opposite direction of dawn. Wherever he stepped on, it was the dark night. Bang! That was the sound of the blood door shattering. Commander Feng could not see how Ning Fan destroyed the blood door at all. Roar! That was the sound of the ancient demonic dragon's death. It was born from an illusion and also died because of an illusion. Darkness eroded Commander Feng's body. Starting from his feet, his body slowly lost all color and became dark. He fell into the darkness and lost his freedom. Gradually, it was not just his legs but his entire body that was engulfed in darkness. Commander Feng desperately tried to break free from the darkness, but he realized that he could not do it at all. At the moment when the last part of his body sank into the darkness, he finally let out a heart-wrenching scream. He had actually died in the illusion technique of the night. So it's a Tao technique. No wonder it's so powerful. Commander Feng's voice finally faded away bit by bit in the darkness. Release. Ning Fan wearily formed hand seals with all 10 of his fingers and dispelled the illusion technique of the night. This was a Tao technique that was formed from the grand accomplishment Tao elephant. It was as if heaven and earth had never fallen into darkness. It was the same as before. Commander Feng stood in the sky with his body intact. His eyes, however, were empty. He was drooling and smiling foolishly. As for Ning Fan, his eyes were bleeding black blood under the ghost mask. His face was extremely pale. Obviously, using this illusion technique consumed a lot of his energy. However, his achievements were also shocking. With this illusion technique, Ning Fan had directly erased all of Commander Feng's spirit consciousness, turning him into an idiot. Commander Feng was not a mid-shedding void realm expert. However, Ning Fan was able to erase his spirit consciousness with a single technique. That alone was enough to prove how powerful this technique was. This technique could not kill people. What it could kill was their spirit consciousness. The backlash of this technique was extremely terrifying. Ning Fan's eyes actually went blind for a short period of time because he used this technique. Half of his primordial spirit was also corroded by the darkness. Before this technique is completed, it seems like I shouldn't use it too much. Ning Fan said with a solemn expression. You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.